Technical difficulties be damned. We are back for your regularly scheduled Next Level Wrestling review. We're talking last night's NXT, October 7th, 2020, the fallout from Takeover 31, as we are back to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, talking all the business, what worked, what didn't, what could have been improved upon. And it looks like my regular co-host Colin Wysong is playing hooky this week, but that's okay because we have a very special guest tuning in this week. And you know, I always love when we get a fresh pair of eyes on NXT. And this is a gentleman that hasn't watched regularly in quite a while, a good friend of the show, the man himself, Big Ray Hernandez. Ray, how you doing this morning, my friend?
What a freaking jobber Colin is. What an enhancement talent. What an under guy. What a great guy. I love Colin. Colin, where the hell are you right now? What do you think Colin is doing right now as we're speaking?
Probably lounging about a pizza shop, just, you know, telling people to do things, pointing fingers. He thinks he's getting that ego, and you can tell the head's just
eating,
ordering people. Yeah, eating pizza, saying you clean the dishes, bring me more pizza. You know, I bet that's what it is.
I could actually see him right now. He's probably not even at work. He's probably at home. You know, I had posted something, hashtag RBV fitness, for our friend Richard Bronson Vickery. By the way, I hit him up the other day. Big shout out to you, my brother. I love you, man. You know, my prayers are with you, my brother. And I've been thinking about him a lot. So, you know, just to turn the serious page there for a quick second. But guys, send your well wishes to grandma and grandpa for our brother RBV. But neither here nor there, I posted something for RBV, and it was bacon wrapped Oreos. So I could imagine Colin just sitting there just with a big, and it has to be a brown paper bag so that you can see the grease, you know, at the bottom of the bag. And just him just shoving them in his mouth while the baby fiend, you know, his little toddler fiend and baby fiend are like looking up at him like, you know, we want some, but no, he doesn't share. Colin doesn't share.
They're just hoping to get a measly crumb falling from his mouth.
Nothing. You know, speaking of crumb, I felt like a crumb this week. You know what? You know why? Would you like? Oh, okay. There's a little bit of a freeze gimmick here, but I thought I had the COVID, dude. I had a runny nose. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't smell, couldn't taste. That only lasted for like 2 minutes. It was terrible. And I ended up having to go to the doctor. They stuck something up my butt. I don't know if that's the normal, testing.
Are you sure it was a medically qualified doctor, Ray?
Yeah. I mean, Steve. They all go by the first name, right?
Yeah. All doctors.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's like, my name's Steve. I heard his, something like unbuckling, whatever. Anyway, this doesn't matter. So, he took care of that, and I came back negative. And, happy to say I just have a terrible upper respiratory infection, which is basically a chest
Still
cold.
Sucks. Sucks.
Dude, it sucks terrible. It sucks a lot. Not as much as Colin sucking down those bacon-wrapped Oreos, but,
Well, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Anyway, but Ted, listen, man, thank you for having me on today. I should be in bed rest, but screw that. I played 2 softball games yesterday. I went 0 for 8.
Damn.
Dude, it's not lob pitch. It's modified. So, we're pitching fast to change up speed. But, dude, I have never gone 0 for 8 playing softball in my life. I was just, yeah. Even my coach was like, "Are you okay?" Like, I was like swinging half-heartedly. I was like, I would run down to first base and start crying. It was terrible. I would run to first base. I would actually sit on the base and just, grab my knees, and just start rocking back and forth and just crying every single time. After the third time, my coach was a little concerned. But anyway, what's going on, brother?
Well, if you would have had a juice box boy, that would have fixed everything. It's every good team needs a juice box boy to be able to run you a juice box. It clears up just the everything. There's nothing like a good old fashioned cold juice box.
Juice box boy. That's Colin's new name.
Juice box boy.
Juice box boy. Why not, dude? That doesn't fit him.
Give me a juice box.
Give me a juice box boy. And then Colin just runs in with his stupid bag of treats. Anyway.
I love it. Well, I'm glad you're joining us today. And I always say on the show, if I had it my way, I'd love to have a guest on here each week that is a fresh pair of eyes on the product, because I always talk about when you're writing for television, it is important to reward your long-term fans, but it's just as important to make sure you're putting on a product that can be digestible by someone tuning in for the very first time and being able to pick right up wherever they're starting off from, and have an understanding, at least to some, at least to a significant degree, on what the heck is going on, so they can be emotionally connected to the product and want to see it the next week. So when's the last time you've sat down and watched a full episode of NXT, would you say, Ray?
To be genuine and honest with you, a full episode of NXT, maybe 2019.
Okay, so it's been a year or more.
I haven't watched. All right, so I haven't watched a full episode of anything WWE, like a full episode. I've watched them bits and pieces. I've watched highlights. I've fast forwarded through some things. I've watched full episodes of Impact Wrestling. I'll tell you that. Easy to watch.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you something. I found this easy to watch this week. And I was tired. I found this easy to watch. I enjoyed this show. There are some things that stuck out to me that kind of, it's giving me that little eye twitch, and we'll talk about that. But it was not AEW, thank God.
I watched that product for the first time last week, and it, I did not think it was as bad as some people think, but at the same time, I also think there was a novelty of it was the first time watching it, and it was different from what I'm used to watching. I think there's something to be said for that too.
Sure.
Or maybe I just caught an episode that wasn't too bad. It was kind of in the middle. I would say it didn't set the world on fire, but it wasn't bad either. So it seems like it kind of depends on the week that you're watching on whether you're getting, something really good or something that leaves something to be desired.
Speaking of AEW and rock stars, we all know we have Chris Jericho, one of the biggest rock stars in the world, drinking a little bit of the bubbly, yo, dude, Eddie Van Halen, man, that sucked.
Yeah, I agree. How old was he?
65, dude. 2020 is terrible.
It is.
I'm just throwing it out there. This year sucks. New Year's, God forbid. Hopefully nothing bad happens, but I just have a really bad feeling about New Year's Eve this year. I don't know why. No.
Really? Hopefully it's a false flag, or a red herring. Maybe it's just the year of 2020 has been such a cluster that it's like, you can't help but feel like it's going to continue. Hopefully you're wrong though, but you never know. This year, I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, because if this year starts anything, expect the unexpected. So who the hell knows? I can tell you, after the election, no matter who wins, it is going to get crazy. So that's for sure going to happen. Dude,
have you seen the memes already this morning with Flygate? #Flygate. Did you see the VP, the vice presidential debate yesterday? Do you know what's going on?
I saw the memes. I didn't see the debate, but I did hear about the fly.
Dude, that was perfect. It was perfect because this guy, he's like a robot. I actually reposted something with him and Kamala, the Ugandan giant. That being Pence, and he just so stoic and just like, I don't know, dude. It was just such a weird debate last night, even though it was much better than what the hell we saw before with those two maniacs. But that was just absolutely hilarious. I mean, so much going on in the world, and the fact that a fly was the most over thing in the debate yesterday it just tells you about this year. But we're talking wrestling, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Athers, thanks for joining us out here in the chat room on YouTube, on the Hameen Media Group YouTube page. If you're not subscribed, be sure to go on there and subscribe. Good morning, Athers. Good to see you. He says 2020 can get into C, and I'm inclined to agree with him on that.
Yeah, but, Athers has heat with me because.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have heat with me, buddy.
Athers.
You and your whatever. Where's his partner from? Scotland, Ireland,
the UK.
Sure, whatever.
That's all I know.
I took time out of my very, very, very busy and important schedule to write an email this week, and I made sure I wrote it so that it would be there the night that they read it or the day that they read. I don't know, across the pond. It's very frustrating. I put these guys over and nothing. I got no email read.
Wow.
I'm very sad. I'm very sad out of this. My heart is broken.
Maybe they have heat with you for some reason. I wonder if that's the case.
But why?
I don't know. Is it something you said? Did you make any remarks that would besmirch an Englishman?
No, I don't know, something about potatoes. It doesn't matter. Listen, I love athers. I've always loved athers. And it's not even heat. It just hurt. It's like deep. Like, you know how my chest right now feels like it's very hard to expand. And every time I breathe in, it feels like I have knives in my chest. Like that. Athers, it hurt deep.
Well, hopefully, right. Listen,
No,
don't do this on the air, man.
no.
It's cool. It's cool.
I need a blanket.
Well, you know, maybe going into our mailbag this morning, we'll bring some reprieve and some lighthearted thoughts. Let's see. We got one email, it looks like, and it's from Athers.
Of course it is. Jesus Christ, this guy cannot wheel in any faster.
Well, maybe it's on a lighter note. He says, "Hello, Ted," and we're gonna say he said Big Ray.
Sure, sure.
On the last episode of NXT, Ridge Holland received a horrible-looking ankle leg injury. I will get into that when catching Oney Lorcan on a dive. At TakeOver, Finn Balor broke his jaw a few weeks before Tegan Nox tore her ACL in the main event of the previous TakeOver. Karrion Kross separated his shoulder. No doubt a lot of this can be put down to bad luck. If timing's off by a split-second, accidents can happen. But do you think things like this with the style of NXT are inevitable? Shotzi Blackheart landing on her head after hitting a sliced bread number 2 on the apron. Tommaso Ciampa always taking net bunks after having neck surgery. Do you think the NXT style is unsafe? Others. So an intriguing question, and one that I think is a warranted question to ask given the streak, it would seem. And don't forget Dexter Lumis, who made his return on this show after also fracturing his ankle.
Right.
What do you think, Big Ray? Do you think the NXT style is too dangerous?
I really would like, I'm going to give you my opinion, but I really want to get into it when we're talking about the booking of this segment. Do I think it's too dangerous? Bro, wrestling is dangerous. You know, my father, you know, he wrestled a very mat-based style. He was a heel, so he did, you know, a lot of clubbing punches and kicks and eye gouges, and, you know, he would powder a lot. He would run out of the ring and stuff and, you know, run away from the good guys and come back and sneak from behind. So he didn't wrestle. Leave it like this. You can get hurt on anything. You can get hurt on anything. So to say that NXT's style is dangerous, pro wrestling is dangerous, dude. Does it heighten the possibility of further injury the way they're wrestling in this style? Yeah, I think so. I think they could change a certain amount of things. And there's something that I really want to get into with you. Like I said, when we book that segment later with this poor guy getting his ankle basically twisted underneath him, it didn't have to happen. I don't think it had to happen. And I'll explain to you why. And then
absolutely,
you know,
we'll get into that.
Yeah, you being in the business for so many years, I'm really interested to hear, you know, your opinion of what my opinion is later.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the answer, in my opinion, what they have to say, I think it's not necessarily an NXT problem. I think it's a wrestling culture problem. And I think it's exacerbated in NXT because these are people trying to get to the main roster spot. And I say it's a culture problem because I think across the board in wrestling, it's about doing, you know, something that's going to dazzle and get people's attention and get people clamoring on the internet so they can get that GIF or whatever of those few seconds of that cool spot. And unfortunately, I feel like they're losing sight of, I feel it's a value proposition. And by that, I mean, doing moves that are going to lessen risk for injury while getting the most out of emotion. And I think instead it's gone the other way, and that the people are wanting to do things more so for the context of doing these high risk maneuvers so they can get that quick moment of fame or that highlight reel, and not really focusing as much on the emotion. I think a lot of these situations could have been avoided. These injuries could have been avoided had they worked smarter and not harder. And I think that's the shame of it. I think there are times when hitting a more exciting or innovative maneuver that might take a little more risk, as long as it's calculated. I think there are times that it's okay. I really will say that, as much as sometimes it makes me want to look away when I see them. That being said, there's also certain things that are done that I feel like, why was that even considered in the first place? Why was that worth doing that in that particular moment? And we'll get into what happened tonight. But like, for instance, we'll talk into more of this. This is probably going to be an ongoing theme on the show because there was a few things that I feel like, but in general, I feel like wrestlers need to think more about, is this going to get me any more heat, or is this going to get me any more over? And if the answer is no, then you should really consider whether or not it's worth doing.
Yeah,
because most of the time the answer is no. You know,
I mean, Ben Hameen, you know, there's a lot of 101s that he speaks about.
Yeah. But
the threat of violence is so much more important than the violence itself during wrestling. Yeah. You know, I take it back. I like taking it back to like the 1980s. One of the most devastating holds was the DDT. Jake the Snake Roberts, you know, would sell it. You know, he would sell the fact that he's about to put, you know, when whether he's playing babyface or heel, it was always exciting because you knew it was coming. You didn't know where it was going to come from. And there would be times where he would put the person in the front face lock and then they would slip out, you know,
they'd scramble out like, and you'd have the look of fear and panic in their face. Like, holy shit, that the match almost ended right there.
Or like Paul Orndorff, you know what I'm saying? When he has Hulk Hogan in that pile driver and then, you know, you think he's going to lift him up, but no, he doesn't actually hit the pile driver. Hulk Hogan gives him a backdrop. It's the threat of them getting that big move in that's so important. And also Ben talks about, you know, character, character, in my opinion, in pro wrestling isn't only something that's important outside of the ring. I think inside the ring as well. And there are a lot of, like, listen to what I'm saying here. And again, I'm trying to work my way around this. I don't know if you can hear, I'm kind of dancing around what I want to say because I want to talk about this later. But what happened in that segment where you had this guy that you're trying to build as a monster get over on your product, which he did for a minute, everything was ruined because they did too much. They overbooked that segment too much. And man, that guy has what's his name again? The big
Ridge Holland.
That dude I think he has a great look. I'm looking at the guy's freaking legs. They're like tree trunks. You know, he's just built and he moved well and he just had a lot of intensity behind him. Like the guy was but then you bring in these, you know what? Let's save it for later. Leave it as a teaser.
Let's do it. Well, without further ado, unless you have anything you'd like to get in wrestling wise, we can jump right into last night's program. It was you our show, didn't you? I was texting with you yesterday, and you messaged me on Facebook. Like, oh, and yeah, it's they get 2 hours, but I do think, given the large amount of people they have on the roster and the fact that even at 2 hours, I feel like they don't even have enough to showcase all of the talent and stories that they are trying to showcase sometimes. I feel like they do a good job filling a lot of business into 2 hours. And so there was a lot of pieces of business that got touched on throughout the show. And looking at the chat room, Athers does say his compatriot is from Scotland and he can only apologize, Ray. So there you go. He offered the proverbial olive branch.
No, that was weak, dude.
He said they overran last week and didn't do the mailbag, but you're still number one. But you're number one on the list this week.
Am I? Am I really? You know something, Athers? I expected more from you. I expected you to tell me to go fist myself. I don't know anything. I mean, you guys have such a clever way of speaking, you know, and making fun of somebody, and that's all you got? You're sorry? You know, Athers, me and you're going to have to talk off air, brother. This is unacceptable. You should have told me to shove it, but neither here nor there. I love you, brother. It's cool. Yeah, man, 2 hours. 2 hours. I was like saying to myself, all right, so I'm going to watch the debate. I'm going to go back and forth, watch the debate, watch the Yankee games, which the Yankees freaking lost to the stupid Tampa Bay. What are they? The Devil Rays, the Buccaneers? No, they lost the Devil Rays. I know baseball. And I said, oh, I'll just tape NXT tape. Wow, that's how old I am. I
know about taping stuff. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I'll DVR NXT and just run through it. It's an hour, 45 minutes. And then when I realized it was 2 hours, I was like, holy crap, but it went by fast, dude. There were a lot of fun things.
It really
did.
Yeah, I thought so too. Show. Well, let's jump right into it. Go right to the ring with our opening contest. It's Kishida versus Tommaso Ciampa, two guys that I've had the pleasure to work with, and two guys I think are incredible talents. And in my opinion, they didn't disappoint here. So we always ask Ray on this show, as far as each segment in wrestling theoretically should have a piece of business. What do you feel the business was in this match?
Well, before I answer that question, I have to ask you a question. So again, I'm new to the product, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, do I know who Kishida is? Yes. I know exactly who Kushida is. I know what he's done. I know where he's wrestled, everywhere from New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's wrestled everywhere, all over the world. He's an MMA fighter. He is not 8-0, by the way. He is, I think, 6-0 with two draws.
Okay.
But they put him over as 8-0. It's fine. Little things. But why was he dressed like Marty McFly?
So apparently it was his favorite movie growing up or something like that. And they've alluded to that in the past. And so it's paying homage to that franchise that he loved as a kid.
Okay, I just, and you totally know so the Marty McFly thing, but anyway, neither here nor there. But I was like, dude, this dude, he looks like Marty. I just didn't understand. So again, I'm watching this. I'm gonna review this show as somebody who's never seen the product before, and that was the first thing that stuck out to me.
That's good to know. Yeah, you'd have no idea. Like,
if I didn't know who this guy. Now we're talking about business, right?
Yes.
Yes, business was done here. And I think both guys came off looking really, really good during this match. I mean, Tommaso Ciampa, Kishida, you cannot get two better performers in the ring. These guys did a lot of really. Hey, did he do the hoverboard lock? Now it kind of. Yeah. So, okay, I get it. Yeah, okay. Now it's starting to click. All right, so the hoverboard lock, get it. Now I got it. Okay. Does he have a manager, Doc, or anything like that? No, right?
Not yet, but maybe in the future we can get someone.
All right, we got to figure that out. But anyway. So, yes, so you got the two wrestlers in the ring. They're doing their thing, and then you have the third component of the Dream who comes in to interfere. So then you get over Kishida, who potentially looks like he beat Tommaso Ciampa, who is possibly one of the toughest guys on the NXT roster. And then you get the douchebag, you get the douchebag coming and ruining it for everyone in the Dream. So, so now we're going to have potential 3 ways coming down. I think, right? Maybe
So and that's what it's a good point that you're making, because having not seen the show, so they've been working towards, in my opinion, like towards Kushida and Velveteen Dream probably working into some kind of no DQ street fight, because they've been brawling and fighting over the last few weeks. Okay. And so to me, my thought was this match was business to sell that match down the line. In order to do that, they put Kishida in with Tommaso, because they knew going 15 minutes going toe-to-toe with Tommaso was going to elevate Kishida to a certain level. So that way, when he goes and faces Velveteen Dream, it's that much more meaningful, because now we have Velveteen Dream is someone that's obviously in his background, it's a more elevated character, having been in the title picture and everything. So I think this was a vehicle to elevate Kishida, so that way that feud and that match means more whenever it eventually happens. And I think the business worked, because they had Kishida look like he was going to win after a 15-minute banger with Tommaso. It was just really good. And then Velveteen Dream comes in, breaks it up, and then now it's bullshit. Now I could, if it goes into a triple threat or 3-way, I'm okay with that. But I think they're probably going towards Dream and Kishida, only because that's what they've previously been building. This is going to sound really terrible, but with Kishida to me is awesome. I love this. I love the guy. I've like I said, I've watched him work for many, many years. He's been around since 2011, maybe longer than that. Anyway, with Kishida, my worry is that guy will never leave NXT. And if he comes to WWE, what is he going to be? Another Asian caricature? I can't say that word, so you know what I'm trying to say, right? But are they going to make fun of him? Is he going to come up and be another ninja? You know what I'm saying? That guy is such. I think WWE would waste his talent if they brought him up to the main roster. If you kept him in NXT like they're doing with Tommaso Ciampa and all these other guys, I think it'd be cool, man. But his size. I almost feel like, as much as I would hate to say it, I almost feel like putting him into like a 205 Live would be a good move, because I think he's someone, though, if used properly, could elevate the brand. Let's say he goes 205 Live and just tears through them and literally, helps to elevate the point that, like, well, you got to see this Kishida guy. He's just tearing guys up on this show. And then it gets noticed by the main roster, and then they have to bring him in almost like, this world beater cruiserweight, almost like what they did with, because I think he's a hell of a talent too in NXT UK, like a Pete Dunne, someone that despite his size can come in and just has that intensity and that viciousness.
Here's the problem. None of that got over. I got to be honest with you. I forgot 205 existed until you mentioned it right now.
Yeah.
I genuinely, and I'm not trying to put the product down. I'm just being honest. Kishida is such a great talent. I'd rather him, make his money in WWE and go back to Japan, or maybe have a stint in the X division over at Impact Wrestling. Like, this is my genuine feeling. Like, I love the guy so much. He's so good. He's earned his spot, man. But the minute that they promote him to 205 Live, nobody's going to see him. The minute that they put him on the Raw or SmackDown roster, he's just going to be another ninja. So if they keep him in NXT and make him that NXT guy, much like Tommaso Ciampa is, dude, I think he could be there for a few years and really kick some butt, man.
And to that degree, I think, for the proverbial Kushida brand, as far as building his brand and building his reputation further, I'm inclined to agree. I think sticking around in NXT for a while, and truth be told, he really hasn't done much yet. So there's still plenty to explore as far as character and feuds and stories to be told. So I think I agree. Spending at least 2 or 3 years in NXT would be of benefit to him. And even if he doesn't even make it to the main roster, that being said, I would love to see him get a legitimate run on the main roster, but you're right. Based on how they tend to book these guys when they come up, they tend to get lost in the shuffle. So I would hate that for him. And so hopefully he'll get a chance to have a few different feuds here in NXT and continue to build the brand. And then who knows from there, as people continue to evolve their characters and what they, kind of represent and do in the ring, sometimes that can change. But for right now, I agree. I don't see him having necessarily a place right now on the main roster. And that's nothing against him. It's more so because of how that style of booking is. I just think he wouldn't thrive as well as he would here in NXT.
Just to end with this, for me, when WWE booked Tajiri the way they did, and I'm talking about way back in the day, that was it for me when it comes to WWE booking, any talented, charismatic Asian characters, so that was it. That was legit it for me. So I don't have any hope in WWE ever having anytime soon an Asian viable. What's up? What are we owing?
You froze for a second. You're good now, though.
Okay. So I don't know what you missed, but I said that I don't know. I don't have any faith whether WWE will ever have a viable Asian guy or gal. Well, maybe more guy to be a heavyweight championship contender, unless he's 6'6", like the Rainmaker, Okada. That guy, if the WWE had bought him in like 3 years ago, that guy had the chance to be that guy. You know what I'm saying? But then the WWE probably book him in a stupid comedy angle down the line, and he would just waste 5 years of his career. So
do you think Shinsuke Nakamura could have been a top tier guy if he was booked correctly?
Dude, that's another heartbreaker, man. Shinsuke Nakamura was not the Shinsuke Nakamura that I saw for the first time at Wrestle Kingdom 9. That was the first time I watched Japanese wrestling, Wrestle Kingdom 9. I believe, if I'm correct, Billy Ray Valentine put me onto it, and I couldn't believe what I saw. It was just like, whoa, and that guy I thought had the ability. I think me and Ben have talked about this 1,000 times. Managers are so freaking important in wrestling. I just don't understand why managers have become so passé. You have this amazing talent that can't talk for a lick, and you have somebody like a Bobby Heenan, like a Slick. Think about it. Like, the manager doesn't even have to be that great a mouthpiece. Look at Mr. Fuji. He was a terrible talker, but he did his job. So I don't know, man. It's funny, right? Mr. Fuji was kind of like because Demolition, they both could kind of talk, and Mr. Fuji was the worst out of the three, but he was their mouthpiece. But what do you feel about that? Like, about the whole manager thing?
I think they definitely have their place, and I think they should be utilized more. I think the WWE's mindset, and I could be wrong, but it seems like their MO is not to utilize the manager simply because they're trying to build a brand around a particular wrestler. And when you put heat on a manager or get a manager over, then you're building the brand around that manager. And I think they want to build their brand around the athletes that are competing in the ring versus people that aren't able to. And traditionally back in the day, you'd have a heel manager because the territories were rotating talent in and out. And that was a great way to go ahead and put heat on a guy coming into the territory the first time by aligning him with a manager that already had that heat in that territory versus coming in fresh and having to start getting heat out of nowhere, because that could be a lot harder. And so I think as the territories died out and WWF at the time kind of took over, they had managers at the time, but you notice over the next 10 to 15 years, they kind of started to phase them out. And I think part of that was just the mindset of, they're building the brands of the wrestlers or the athletes or the quote unquote superstars and not the managers, because they wanted to be able to have the sexy stars as their brand and not as the managers who, classically, unless it was like a valet, didn't exactly, have that, magazine cover type look that I think that they want for most of their athletes. Yeah,
I don't buy that. And I understand your logic. I understand why you explained it the way you did. And the reason why I don't buy that is because I go back again to a better time in wrestling. Like Bobby the Brain Heenan was the best manager of all time, period. That's my opinion. Yeah. Okay. I actually sat down.
I agree.
I interviewed JJ Dillon. And when I had this interview with him, it's somewhere on YouTube. I started off the interview. I said, I said one of the greatest managers of all time. And then he stopped me and he thanked me for saying that, because he was like, man, he goes, how many people start off these interviews with the greatest manager of all time? And he stopped me. And I said, well, in my opinion, Bobby Heenan, he agreed with me. Bobby Heenan was the greatest manager of all time, right? Did Bobby Heenan overshadow Mr. Perfect?
Never.
What about Rick Rude?
No.
How about Andre?
Mm-mm.
All right. So there goes the argument right out. I mean, that superstar, if they are willing to put in that work and do their thing, I don't see why a manager can't do anything more than help them. Like a Shinsuke
and that's where I agree with you. And so just the point I was making was where I think their mindset is coming from. I agree with you. I think managers more than have their place, and I agree with you on Bobby Heenan too. And as a matter of fact, Rip would always put over Bobby.
Oh yeah,
Bobby knew how to pick his spots, and I remember Rip even telling me that at spot shows and live events, literally all Bobby would have to do at any point in the match, and 95% of the time he never actually physically did anything, but point, like if they were to hold, let's say, he would literally just stand up out of his chair and the fans would start to get loud and jeer because they thought, oh shit, he's going to do something. Yep. He had so much heat that all he had to do most of the time was stand up and sit back down, because they knew when Bobby Heenan got involved, most of the time it was the finish. Notice that too. He didn't just randomly, do spots throughout the match. If he got involved, it was usually going to be lights out for the poor baby face that was going against the Heenan family.
So
he would just have to stand up, and then that would get his heat.
So it was like we were talking before, the threat.
Yes,
the threat of violence. Okay,
was meaningful, and that's like the fact is, people say, "Well, that was a forgotten time. We can't." You absolutely could get back to that again if you built back in the basics. It doesn't mean boring wrestling holds. It just means more emphasizing the emotion of it. Great. I'm all about still doing the cool shit, but it's also about pacing and doing it at the right time versus just doing it willy-nilly so you can get your highlight reel or your GIF trending or whatever it might be. Because let's not confuse getting a pop with getting over. Those are two completely different things, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. Over would be like the Road Warriors. They got the pop all the time, but they were over everywhere, and then you get some people that they get a pop. It's a negative pop. Let's say like a Roman Reigns, who gets a pop, but he isn't necessarily over. Now maybe a little more. I've been hearing some good things about him, by the way. He got a haircut. Looks very handsome.
Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know he got a haircut.
You didn't see his hair?
No, I haven't. I literally watch the shows I review, and unfortunately that's about it, because I just don't have the time.
I don't blame you.
That's what I hear. But I don't mind. I do like looking at it critically, but I only have so many hours in the week to dedicate to wrestling. And I as someone that's constantly trying to be a student of the game still, despite having, X amount of years in wrestling, I always still try to expand my mindset. And I find that I learn more from watching television shows and movies and understanding the emotional context of that I try to think about, okay, how can that great story or that great scene be integrated into a wrestling angle. And I find that helps me more with trying to come up with wrestling ideas more so than watching a bunch of wrestling.
No, wow.
And that's just for me.
No, dude, that works. Yeah.
But anyway, speaking of what works, we had NeXT. She came out to work tonight. It was Ember Moon getting a couple segments here because we saw later in the show, but she came out to cut a promo saying she was happy to come back after 14 long months. And while away, she discovered what she called Ember's Law and admitted that was corny, which means no one will get in her way of doing what she wants. And she wants gold. Io Shirai interrupted, but before she can speak, Rhea Ripley, her music hit, and she joined the party and said something about Ember and a title shot, but is hit from behind by Raquel Gonzalez as she and Dakota Kai jump Rhea until Ember comes over to help, and Io watches from the ring. Officials separated, and William Regal says our main event is Ember and Rhea against Dakota and Raquel. And I didn't mention this earlier, but thanks to 401 Mania for the results here as I'm reading through. But so this was an interesting segment. Started with Ember Moon as she made her return after NXT Takeover, laying down the proverbial gauntlet, leading into a brawl in a match for the main event. What were your thoughts? Or I guess what did you think the business? Well, the business was obvious. It was to set up the main event. What did you think? Did you think this was a good piece of business, Ray?
I can hear Ben right now screaming at Ember. First and foremost, she goes up there, okay, and she cuts a promo like this is, for me, it sounded like it was the first time she's cut a promo on TV ever. She seemed nervous. She kept repeating herself. She seemed unsure. She seemed like she was memorized, like she had tried to memorize something and it didn't all get memorized. It's like, when you're supposed to give an oral report and you didn't do it, so you just kind of make it up on the fly in front of class and the teacher knows you're full of it. I was angered by this segment, and I'm going to tell you why. Again, I can hear Ben Hameen right now just yelling at her, just like being so angry because she comes up, she's putting over this new gimmick, right? She's Ember's Law, supposed to be a thing. I'm sure they have T-shirts already printed for this. And then she says, Ember's Law. Yeah, I know that's corny. How stupid is that?
You just buried your own thing.
She just buried all those T-shirts printed. I bet you the minute that she said, oh, that I know that's corny, the people that printed all those T-shirts, the management, must have been so upset at her. I would love to find out if she got any heat on this. So I'll bet you in 2 weeks or in a week or two, Ember's Law will be printed, on WWEshop.com. You can buy it on a T-shirt or whatever. Number one, she came back and I was so underwhelmed. It wasn't a big deal to me. And guys and gals, please do not beat me up over this. I'm going to say this with the most respect. And again, you need to understand, this is not a body shaming thing because I'm no one to shame anyone's body. But my God, she came in looking like Willie Mack from Impact Wrestling. Wow. They say the COVID-19, she gained the COVID 25. It was just like she was out of shape. Now, in-ring shape and physical shape are two different things. I know a lot of guys that go hard and they are not, they don't have a six-pack. But she looked visibly out of shape. I didn't get the whole biker gimmick. Is that what it was? Was she supposed to be the Thunderdome chick? I guess
so, because she was the special. They had done a couple little hype videos for her, and it was kind of strange. It almost looked like a video game. Like she was almost like a weird biker type video game character. It was I didn't quite get it, to be honest.
What was it? Grace Jones that played that original part, right?
I have no
idea. Are you on Pornhub? What are you doing right now?
I'm putting in our tags for search engine optimization on YouTube.
Anyway,
if I'm being honest.
Wonderful. So basically, the character, I don't remember if it was Grace Jones or if it was no. It was Tina Turner. Tina Turner. Go that way. Go that way. Kind of like a little wacky and like a zany, almost like mentally challenged, like crazy. Out of your mind. Like that promo, she was like, I'm like so nervous here. Like Ember's Law. like, I know it's corny, guys, but I'm back, and I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm gonna wrestle, dude. I wanted to punch my TV when I saw her, and then they have her stand next to a goddess of a champion, an amazing looking, tall, muscular dude. It just Raquel, Dakota Kai, and Rhea made Ember look like poop. Just physically, it just stood out to me, and it bothered me so much. And by the way, that Raquel, she's quite a physical specimen, that young lady.
Oh yeah, and they've been kind of teasing that at some point down the line they're probably going to have a matchup between Ripley and Raquel, which I think will, obviously the aesthetics of that is incredible. Two very massive, muscular women, and yeah, I think that they're doing a good job of teasing it without necessarily giving it away yet. I mean, they've had interactions, but they haven't had a true one-on-one yet. I think it's coming at some point. I
got to say, Raquel, she stood out to me. Now, again, I haven't watched NXT since 2019. And I was like, whoa, who is this? She's attractive. She's tall. She's strong. She seemed to have a little bit of that it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about there.
Yeah, the it factor.
The it that Rhea has, when she walks into that Dakota has, that Ember does not. Sorry, guys. I don't know if you're fans of Ember Moon. Even if she had a six-pack, even if she was in the best shape, when she was doing the whole werewolf gimmick, is that what she was, a vampire or werewolf? Or?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, something along those lines. Yeah, some kind of metaphysical type of thing.
Whatever, which she never put over. She never really, like, it was just like a look. She never really acted like all werewolfy in the ring or did anything like that. So I don't know. Dude, Ember Moon, dude, I don't see her on the roster too much longer. I'm being genuine. I think this is it. I know I'm going on a limb, and I hope not for her, but I think this is it. After coming off a long injury, she looked the way she did. And we'll talk about the main event because there were some things that upset me there too. So anyway,
certainly. And here's the thing I think of, and this is something to be cognizant of. I never want to body shame anyone, but it is important to think about the brand and the product that you're presenting, because you got to think of yourself anytime you're on television, how you're presenting yourself, because you are your own brand and you are your own product. And you got to think about what image are you giving when you come out there. And that's the thing, is not to say, I think if she dressed differently, it would be fine. When you have a visible gut on television, it's clear. And it's, again, and that's, I when I wrestled, for most of my career, there was a short time I was in shape, in which case I didn't wrestle with a shirt on, but most of my career I wrestled with something covering my midsection for the majority of it, simply because I wasn't in the shape I needed to be in when I presented myself on television. And that's just something you gotta have the cognizance of thinking about and thinking, okay, what kind of gear or presentation do I need to have to come in so something like that isn't so visible? And you said the same thing about what's her name, and she's still in really good shape. Wasn't it Deonna Purrazzo on Impact Wrestling? And she's someone that is in pretty decent shape, but when you have the wrong gear and it accentuates parts that you don't want accentuated, then that's going to unfortunately stand out, especially when you're trying to present yourself as, this is supposed to be our top tier athlete in this company. Do you look like a top tier athlete in this company?
Can I ask you a quick question? How long has she been off of TV?
According to what Ember Moon said, 14 months.
Okay, so that's a year. Mm-hmm. Okay, COVID-19, got it. Okay, do you know how many people got in better shape during the COVID-19 period?
Right.
Okay, so you had 14 months to come back in the best shape of your life. And then we got this. So this is why I got annoyed by what I saw. Has nothing to do, because I'll be honest with you, dude, if I dated a chick with a body like that, I'd be very happy.
Oh yeah, I think she looks great, but we're talking business. We're talking from a wrestling standpoint. That's the difference.
I'm not talking about what Ray's into, because if it's between her and Rhea, I'm going with Ember Moon on a physical standpoint. But now, for a TV standpoint, you had over a year. Let's say 6 months out of that year, you were rehabbing, right? What was her injury? Do you remember?
She had an Achilles injury, I believe, which is, that's a hard one to come back from. That's one that sometimes can end a career, because your wheels, your ankles, feet, I mean, that can really mess you up. And that's something that we'll talk about later, but I was hoping she was going to reinvent her finisher, because I saw her injury coming a mile away, because when you learn how to take bumps, one of the things I remember they pounded in my head is you got to land flat-footed when you take your bumps, because if you constantly land with your heels out like that, you're going to fuck up your feet and you're going to wind up having surgery. And so when I saw her do the Eclipse for the first time, the first thing I thought is like, okay, well, that's what they always said not to bump because it's going to hurt her ankles. I wonder if that's going to hurt her ankles. And then she ended up getting an Achilles injury. Makes sense, and all that trauma to it over the years, and then she went right back to doing it. And that's the part I was the most disappointed with, which we'll get into later. But it's like you had this much time to think of a new way to present yourself and come up with a new finisher. You know, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different things you could have done. Yeah, and well, that too. But still, I mean, the fact is, I mean, this is something that was devastating for your career, took you out for 14 months, and then you're going to go right back and do the thing that more than likely was the catalyst that brought it about in the first place. The injury. And that's the shame of it all. It's like you didn't even learn from being injured and off TV for that long how not to hurt yourself, because she went right back to doing the thing that, in my opinion, likely caused her to be on the shelf in the first place.
Well, what's when you're trying to get in shape, what's the biggest, you know, they say that what is it, like 90% of it is what? Diet?
Mental. Oh,
well, diet. 10% is no wait. What is it? 90% is mental. Diet? No. It's dieting is the most important thing. What you put in your body is what comes out.
And it does go back to the mental part of it is probably the most important, because that's what's going to keep you on point with your diet, with your training, and just being disciplined. So I do think the mental part of it is the most important. But if you're talking about, you know, as far as aesthetically, does it come down to diet or exercise? Diet probably is the bigger part of it, because you can lean out on a diet at least. You know what I mean?
Anyway, she had 14 months, and we got this. What else we got, buddy?
All right. Well, let's look at the chat room. Someone wants to know if you're Cain Velasquez. I guess it's their first time seeing it, so I guess I'll take that as a compliment.
It's so funny. I've been called. Well, when I had my hair longer, Billy Ray Valentine used to call me Punishment Martinez or Punishment Hernandez. What's his name in NXT
Damian
now?
Priest.
Yeah. For some reason, he thought that I looked like him. I've gotten Cain Velasquez. When I was 400 pounds, I used to get Fat Joe all the time. So yeah, I'll take Cain Velasquez.
Yeah, why not?
I can throw hands.
Yeah,
that's about it.
That's all right. Hey, as long as you can, you know, put up or shut up, right?
I've been in a ring or two.
The same. Shout out. I always like to give people shout outs when they're tuning in with us. We got Elia Punk. Also wanted to get our thoughts on NXT Takeover 31. We really didn't get into that, but also I felt like there really wasn't a lot of storyline progression on that show, as far as, you know, a lot of things that were really noteworthy. I mean, Athers then went on to comment in the chat room saying that he enjoyed it. Good work from everyone, but getting a bit sick of the 25-30 minute forced classics. And I think that's something that I feel like that's a trope card they do hang on to a lot for those NXT Takeover shows. It's like they purposely want matches to go a certain amount of time for the sake of pulling that time and making it a quote unquote classic versus giving it that time because it actually is warranted. And I do think that is an issue, because I do think there's some matches and stories that can be told in a short amount of time and be much more effective than drawing it out. Like, for instance, when they had Keith Lee and Karrion Kross a few months back, those two should not have gone the 15 plus minutes or however long it was. Like, to me, that should have been like a Goldberg, Brock Lesnar type situation where it's bing, bang, boom, less than 5 minutes. It's intense and it gets right to the point. And I think that would have been get more people to talk about it the night after than them trying to pull out a 20-minute classic. And I do think that is a trope card they play too often. I do think when it's done right and they do have those classics, it's meaningful. But if all of them are long matches and all of them are supposed to be classics, then nothing means anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd say if you're going to have one match you want as a classic, then pick one match that you really want to stand out and make that either your main event or, you know, put it towards the main and have that be your long drawn out banger. But I do think trying to make every match what I call a banger, just, you know, a long drawn out beat down type fight, you know, you can't make every match that way. Otherwise it's less meaning for everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, if you order 10 pizzas and they're all the same pizza, you know, you want a little variety.
Yeah. If you give me 10 pizzas, the same pizza, after I get through the first pizza, I'm probably not going to want any more pizza.
Right. Exactly. But and by the way, let me ask you, do you like pineapple on pizza?
You know, I've thought about having a debate on this because I know it's a hot topic. I wanted to avoid it for so many years, and then I finally tried it, and then I liked it. I did enjoy it.
gosh, yes. Ah, yes, yes. Let me tell you something, brother. Pizza, let me tell you, a Hawaiian with the ham and the pineapple, the salt and the sweet, you know, the savory of the sauce, the cheese, the bread. Oh, it's the best thing ever.
And I know we don't have too many vegetarians on that probably listen, but for those that do, only because I have some vegetarian friends, we also learned an acceptable substitute. It's not quite as good as the Hawaiian, I think, but mushroom and pineapple. Don't knock it till you try it. I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, wow, this is good. So yeah.
I love pizza.
Yeah, try switching it up. Yeah, the pineapple and mushroom. And I'm not a fan of mushrooms. Let's be clear. In fact, I really don't care for them. But I did like the combination on the pizza. It was good.
It depends on how you season the mushroom. You know how you cook the mushroom.
True, that's true.
Were the mushrooms firm or were they soggy?
They were still pretty firm.
That's what she said. Okay, cool. So what else we got, buddy?
All right, let's go right into what's next here. Earlier today, Drake Maverick arrived and said he and Killian Dain have been discussing their tag team ideas. As annoyed, Dain comes over to say they are not a team, but Drake says they have a match against Everrise tonight. As a frustrated Dain stormed off. What'd you think of this, Big Ray?
I love Spud. I love Rockstar Spud. I'm sorry, Drake Maverick. I love him. Anything he does, anything he says, anywhere he is gold. The guy is fantastic. So I'm like, oh snap, that's Killian Dain. And I already see the great comedy that can develop between these guys. I've seen it done in TNA when Drake was Rockstar Spud there. I've seen this before. I don't know if it was with Abyss. I can't remember what monster they teamed with. He's done it a bunch of times. But Drake Maverick, I think, can make anything work. He could make Ember Moon work, I think, if they teamed him up with her. He's that good. So I actually cheated a little bit here. And I texted Colin last night. I'm like, dude, Rockstar Spud. And then he explained to me how he and Killian had this weird relationship. You know, it's in my humble opinion, I think it's going to end up becoming possibly like a you ever heard of the book of Mice and Men?
Oh yeah, I've read it and seen the movie.
A Lenny and George type relationship with a comedic twist. Right. I think that's what it's going to be like as you know, and then he goes, yeah. And he says, yeah. And Dain always knocks out, you know, Spud. And I was waiting for it and I was anticipating it. I knew Spud was going to sell it, you know, the segments, you know, down the line that we're going to talk about it soon. But dude, I love Rockstar Spud, dude. He's just the best. And Killian Dain looks good, man. I like the way he looks. He looks like Balls Mahoney.
Right. And there he goes. A good example of someone that has been taking the time during this pandemic to get himself in better shape. I mean, does he look like Mr. Atlas? No, but he looks like he's gotten in a hell of a lot better shape. He looks like an athlete. Yes. You know what I mean? He looks like you can tell he's training. Yeah. I've said before, I'm hoping I think there's a lot of legs with Killian Dain and Drake Maverick. And I would love to see this over time. I still want to see this drawn out more, but eventually lead to them winning the tag titles because there's nothing more I want to see than Drake holding up both belts, getting knocked out by Killian Dain. Killian Dain just takes the belts and just drags Maverick out with them, or just leaves them, or they win the titles and they're in a bar and he knocks out Drake at the bar and then drags him out, or you know what I mean? Like there's so many little silly things they can do with this angle, and I love it.
This is something I could see on the main roster.
Yes,
and I could see this getting over. The only thing is that Drake Maverick, wherever he's taken from, it's a loss for wherever he's taken from. Does that make sense? He's taken from TNA. That was a huge loss. He's taken from NXT. It'll be a huge loss for them. But wherever he goes, he just does great work. And I love that dude. He's awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
100. I agree. Well, moving on next, it looks like we have Undisputed Era. They're angry backstage. They're all really mad. Kyle says he didn't get the job done, but his friends put him over for the performance, and then they focus on Ridge Holland, who broke Adam's ribs, and they don't know why he did it, but he's a dead man. And so there you go.
Mackenzie Mitchell backstage. I feel like I was watching Impact Wrestling. Do you know who Mackenzie Mitchell is?
I do not, unfortunately.
She is the very attractive blonde reporter that she was on Impact Wrestling for a few years, and I kept telling Ben when we were doing the Impact Attack, I was like, this girl needs to be on a WWE TV. I thought she was fantastic. She seemed a little watered down from what I remember in Impact Wrestling. Maybe they toned her down a bit. But Mackenzie Mitchell, so we got Mackenzie Mitchell, we got Drake Maverick. you know, two of my favorite Impact Wrestling stars on NXT. So I felt some familiarity watching this show. It was pretty cool. Anyway.
I like hearing that. And that's something that's good for people that have watched the other products and happen to be flipping through the channels. We're like, oh shit, I know who that is.
Yeah.
Well, next we had the match. Though if you want to get into that anymore, Drake Maverick and Killian Dain versus Everrise. I did like the music gimmick they tried to pull at the beginning with the little whistle song. That popped me. It made me laugh legitimately when I heard the silly, you know, whistling music that they tried to come out with. And Killian Dain just like, nope, not doing this. Turn it off.
It reminded me of, oh gosh, who did Jerry the King Lawler feud with, the actor from Taxi?
Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman. You ever heard Andy Kaufman's theme music?
I don't remember.
Okay,
Was
so what I want you to do is on your own time, type in Andy Kaufman's wrestling theme song. And this is actually the theme music he used to use coming to the ring when he was feuding with Jerry the King Lawler. It was reminiscent of that. It was silly, it was quirky, it just worked. It fit. That fit that tag team so well. It's just so weird. I love this match. It was fun to watch. Killian Dain power bombing, Drake Maverick onto his own opponent, and Drake Maverick just selling so much character, screaming like a little girl, in the corner. I just love this dude, man. I love this match. And then at the end, of course, you got Killian Dain, who, looks at Drake Maverick, knocks him out. He's about to leave, and then he looks back, and I could see, now again, this is my first time watching, but I could see Killian Dain might have a soft spot for little Spud. And he picks him up and throws him over his shoulder, and Spud gives the thumbs up, and I'm winning him over, dude. Just so good, man.
It's the little things.
Legit, dude, as corny as it sounds, it gives me goosebumps talking about this. That's how good that's how good this, how well booked, this segment was. Anything Drake Maverick and Killian Dain was in today was just great. It made my night. Made my night, dude.
And it was all about, again, the little details. It's not like they did anything elaborate. They didn't do any like really cool, move that looked devastating. I mean, they did the powerbomb thing, but again, that was more for context of character than anything. That helped develop that relationship that much more further. So I agree with you. I think this was a good piece of business. It made me intrigued to want to see the future between Drake Maverick and Killian Dain. It hooked me for wanting to see what takes place next from the angle, so to speak. So that was good. And let's see, next we have a Toni Storm vignette that aired. She's running on a beach and talking about that it's about to change. And then she concluded the promo with saying, it's going to be like nothing you've ever seen before.
I'm sorry. Tony Cakes can do no wrong for me.
Well, here's what I'd say on this. And
don't you dare speak ill of hashtag Tony Cakes.
Well, I'm not going to speak ill. Okay. Do you think she could have closed with something stronger that would have shown just how awesome she is that much better?
I think anytime she is on a TV screen is perfect. I don't care if she stands there and just breathes for 15 seconds. She is gorgeous. She is wonderful. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. She's beautiful, but she's too young. For me anyway. Yeah. It was a little empty. It was like talking into an empty milk carton. If that makes any sense. I know it's a weird analogy, but her promo seemed to lack the intensity I was looking for. She's coming back. She's one of the top names in the business. Like right now, I'm talking to you right now, and I'm looking in the camera, and that I'm really passionate about what I'm doing right now. I'm coming back, man. I'm gonna take this from you. I'm gonna take back what I lost. I'm gonna take back what's mine. There was none of that, man. Like, seriously? Like, legit, you were one of the top talents. You got hurt. Everything was taken away from me. Like, none of that. Just, I'm coming back. Hello. Yeah. Hello.
Or at least have a strong closer. Like, it's one thing, you can talk about I'm this, I'm that, but at least at the end, punch it at the end. At the end, instead we got, it's going to be like nothing you've ever seen before, which to me just sounds so cliche. Like, at least get a catchphrase. And like, it would have been something, this is just as cheesy, but what I said, even if it would have said, I hope you enjoyed the calm because Toni Storm is here.
Oh,
bam, there's something like that. Would have
that's
been
a
like,
that's a
okay,
t-shirt. That's merchandise right there. You telling me? Are you telling me? And it really bugs me out, dude. That I listen to all the shows on Hami Media, and I kid you not, dude. On every show, no matter who's doing the show, it's like everybody on this platform. And again, I'm not sounding. You know what? Screw it. Everybody in this platform seems to write better than WWE writers when it comes to writing for their talents and or understanding the talents. Like you. I'll use you an example. I've heard you say a couple of things about certain talents and how to book them, and it's like they don't know how to book themselves. Like Toni Storm, you had all this time. All right, just like Ember Moon had all this time to get in better shape. Toni Storm had all this time to think of a cool tagline. You thought of this. Okay, how long did it take you to think that up? That tagline for her?
About 15 seconds.
Okay, 15 seconds. How long has she been out?
At least months.
Okay,
A period of months.
Let's say she's been out for 2 months, right? So you're telling me in 60 days you can't come up with 3 t-shirts, 3 taglines that make sense? It boggles my mind. I understand why Ben blows things up now. Like I get it. I understand why Colin sits down crying in the corner eating a sack full of bacon wrapped Oreos all day. Wait, that's different.
I think it's hard because I think when you are put into that system anyway, you're put on a pedestal that makes you feel like you're already a star, you're a superstar, and
that's not good.
What incentive do you have to continue to work hard? I mean, I think part of the reason why back in the old days of OVW, you had a lot of these breakout stars because they were wrestling in a little shithole that didn't have air conditioning or heat. And they wanted more than anything to figure out a fucking way to come up with the right character and the right thing to get the hell out of there. Mm-hmm. And these women and men are coming in and still need a lot more experience and need a lot more development, both in the ring and character wise. But right. What's the incentive when you're already made to feel like, hey, you're already a superstar?
Well, that's not good. It's that situation where you have let's say a talented ball player in your hometown, right? And he's been given everything, been coddled, told that he is the greatest. He doesn't have to work any harder. He's going to make the majors. And then he goes to college or he goes to the minors and he sees a professional, what a professional baseball curveball looks like for the first time in his life and realizes that he's not as good as he was. It crushes, it'll eventually crush his spirits and he won't even want to try anymore. And that's what I'm afraid of with a lot of these talents, So they're given these terrible gimmicks or they're given these terrible lines and they don't make the best out of it. They don't try to create for themselves. And what happens? They don't get over. And what happens? It crushes them and then they don't even try.
Yeah,
they work out the rest of their time. They make their money and then they go and then they work the indies and then that's it. It's debilitating.
Yeah. And I think that's only part of the story. I also think there's something about it's taboo to challenge the status quo. And if a writer writes something for you, you just say it. And I think a lot of these men and women need to take more opportunities to say, hey, how about if I say it like this? Offer suggestions. Don't just say, I'm just going to go with I'm going to be a good performer and a good employee and just do exactly what they tell me. And as long as I do that, then I'm going to keep climbing the ladder. And unfortunately, that's not the case. That's where, as much as I know it's cliche to say, that's where you have to take the proverbial brass ring and say, no, this is what my character would say, or I would say it like this, and offer suggestions on how to let you shine as a performer instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to read this script exactly. Like we saw the thing with Ember Moon. We just talked about that. If she just would have put more of her into it and not just, I'm sure she got all the words correct. Hooray. Who cares?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's more about, okay, what is the emotional context? What does this mean to you, Ember Moon? Because all the thing I got is this is a cheesy, corny catchphrase and promo that I'm walking.
Kills me.
And so, it just goes to that part as well. You have to challenge your own status quo and be able to challenge the stuff they've given you too.
What was Tony's last line again?
It's going to be like nothing you've ever seen before.
Okay, so she just basically said it. She looked in the camera. For those watching on YouTube right now, wherever you're watching, she looked in the camera, and she said those lines, right? But again, little subtleties. I would have said, all right, so say it again. What is it?
It's going to be like nothing you've ever seen before.
So instead of her just saying that line, maybe she said, it's going to be, she looks down, grabs the camera like nothing you've ever seen. And she draws the camera closer. You can see the camera shaking before. And she kind of pushes the camera off, whether it's scripted or not. Like that little.
Yeah, and you're right, too. That's where you can stick to the script, but you got to add that emotion. Or maybe if she just would have emphasized one of the words, like, okay, because this was showing some of her highlights too. And if I like that as well, but something in the similar vein where she's like, it's going to be like nothing. And you see her doing the shots and doing her finisher. Right. And then it just goes to her face and goes, you've ever seen before, boom, and scene, and you bring it up, and then you bring it down.
Or
either way worked. You know what I mean? Just some kind of emotion.
Or they could have put her in a bikini. What?
Well, that's true. That also would sell for different reasons.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, just where are we going next? What do we got next?
All right. Next up, we have, walking their dog, the Garganos say Takeover went terribly and they deserve rematches. They might need to focus on something new as they get home. Candice spots a 65-inch TV from Indi Hartwell, of all people. Johnny hears Indi's name and disses her, but when he sees the TV, he changes it to praise.
Okay, you got to explain to me what the hell is going on here. Because, again, as a first-time watcher of this product, first, who are these people? Why are they going to a house? Are they married? Are they boyfriend and girlfriend? Does he work for her? Does she work for him? Like, what is the relationship between these two people? I got none of that. I figured out that they were in a relationship, maybe. Mm-hmm. So what's going on here? How do I explain this to somebody who's never watched this product before? Because if I didn't know who they were, I wouldn't know what's going on.
Right.
It's just me. Can you explain to me what's going on here? Like what's?
Well, yeah, I can explain. This is where,
please.
I feel like maybe they should have had, a bit with the announcers afterwards. Well, you see, Johnny Gargano and his wife, Candice LeRae, after they get, so what happened is a couple weeks ago, they had a quote unquote dinner party with Tegan Knox. And during the melee that ensued with that, the TV got broken. And so the context, I guess, here, as we saw later, Indi Hartwell is trying to, I guess, get over with Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano for whatever reason. She's trying to basically present herself in a way like, hey, I'm your friend. And so after they lost the TV, and Johnny Gargano made a big deal of, how am I going to watch sports? How am I going to do this? Our TV's broken. And then now all of a sudden, hey, they got a new TV. And this did it. This was interesting to me as well, because I didn't understand at first why Indi Hartwell would just send a TV. It wasn't until later that in the next segment, we'll talk about as far as, okay, it seems like she's wanting to try to get over with them for some reason, but we don't know why yet. And so I think there was some part of this that we're not supposed to know yet. We're just supposed to know, okay, this wrestler, Indi Hartwell, this character is wanting to align herself with the Garganos or Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano for some reason. And we'll find out soon, hopefully, exactly what that will entail.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't done poorly. Like as the segments continued, I was like, all right, this is kind of cute. This is cute. It was cool. It was all right.
Yeah. Well, we move on from there back to the ring. Austin Theory versus Leon Ruff. Wasn't a whole lot of time. We saw Leon Ruff seem to slip on the ropes and then get hit right away with the ATL to finish it for Leon Ruff, giving Austin Theory to win. Before we go into part two, what'd you think of that little spot and finish there?
I saw in this segment 3 future stars, including Leon Ruff.
I've sang his praise before. The first time I saw him in just a quick squash match, and I guess he does the little things. It's all about the little things, and he does them very much correctly. What I was going to say here is, did you think that was a true botch, or do you think that was the planned spot?
I think Leon Ruff is so good at what he does to make it look like it wasn't supposed to happen that I can't say either way.
Right. And I can't either, because I can definitely see it where like it happened. And then the smart thing to do is, hey, they probably weren't getting a lot of time anyway, just go home.
Right.
But I can also see, there's something to be said about that's a good mechanism for heat is, the baby face, tries the high risk maneuver, the heel just takes advantage of it and gets the quick win.
Right.
CM Punk and OVW used to occasionally do a spot where he would slip and botch a move when in actuality, as the referee in a lot of his matches at the time, it was part of the spot, but the fans didn't know. They were like, oh shit, he fucked up. They'd even chant, you fucked up sometimes. And it's like, well, actually he didn't. He was part of it. So that's the difference between being a good worker or not. So that's where, again, this is where I got to put him over, because I don't know if that was a planned spot or if it was a true botch. So kudos either way for both of them, really, for doing that.
First, Leon, man, it's just, you got to get some tights that fit, number one, because the kid's so skinny, he's got baggy tights. I've never seen nothing like that. It's like when you're a toddler and you're wearing underwear for the first time, it's a little big, and you're walking. Anyways, it looked like a diaper. But that kid could go. That kid made me. I enjoyed. I took it. It's like having you ever have a good dinner and you take that first bite of, let's say, okay, well. You threw me off there, you jerk.
Yeah,
but listen, no, it's cool. But when you have like a good piece of chicken parm and you cut it and you take that first bite and you get all the flavors at once. I
call it a food gasm, where it's just like, it's so good.
That's what I had watching this kid, Ruff on TV. I forgot about how skinny he looked. His character was so huge. He made it believable. Everything he did. The facials, the expressions, everything. The kid he's so over with me, man. I want to see this. Check this out, dude. He is no BS. He is one of the reasons I'm going to come back to watch and see if I can see him again. Seriously.
Yeah. I will tell you, unfortunately, he doesn't get a lot of TV time. He's on here about once a month or so, and it's always to put someone over. But I have noticed the first time I saw him, he does the little details, even if he only gets a minute of time. And it's never, here's the thing, it's never selfish either. It's to put over his opponent. But that's so meaningful because he does such a good job of it. He's someone that if he's under contract, so I can't. I announced on the Monday Locker Room working towards our own little indie here, or in the Louisville area. But if he wasn't signed, I would absolutely be reaching out, because he's a guy I would love to have on the roster, no doubt.
He reminds me of Cheeseburger, the wrestler.
I've heard the name. I'm unfamiliar. I love the name, but
he reminds me of Cheeseburger, the wrestler, only. And guys, don't no heat, way more charismatic, and I think a way better worker than Cheeseburger. You might have to look Cheeseburger up, dude. That guy's actually pretty cool. We saw another superstar in the making in Austin Theory. I had to look up two things when I saw this kid. The first thing I looked up was, how big is this kid? All right, I wanted to make sure he was big enough. Mm-hmm. He's listed as 6'1". Okay. So he's probably about 6 feet tall, which is fine. He's got a great look. The kid's got $1 million smile. He's got that kid, and he also cuts a nice pro. I'm all over the place right now because I'm so happy about what I saw here. Seriously. I love the way he cut his promo. And I said, how old is this kid? I was shocked. 23.
Damn.
He's a baby. Surprising. He's a baby. He's a kid.
He certainly has a lot of potential. I think he has a lot of talent. Now, on the other side of things, what are your thoughts in regards to, obviously, the allegations? I don't know if you're aware that he had against him.
I wasn't there.
And I wasn't either. And that's where I haven't, gone hard on it. Like, we got to get him out. But at the same time, I will say that is a huge concern. And if the allegations are true, then certainly that is an issue.
What are his allegations? They say,
I think it was similar, where he was sending nude pictures to minors.
Minors?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'll check on this.
All right. While you say that, I'll say this. If that's true, then he can go to hell in a handbasket. But remember this, guys. There are two sides to every story, and we need all the facts to come out. And if we have, is there anything substantial stating that this guy actually did that? Now, we were saying minors. He's only 23. When did he send these pics? Like,
so let's see here.
Was he like 19 sending him to a 17-year-old?
Apparently she was 13 years old at the time.
And how old was he?
Let's see.
Oh, 13. It doesn't matter.
Right, exactly. So apparently, so this is the story. I'm just reading the story.
All right,
so this isn't fact, but this is what was reported. The female fan named Tay alleged that Austin Theory added her to Snapchat and messaged her very gross things. She had no proof of those Snapchat messages, as she said Austin Theory made her stop saving them so their messages can remain a secret. The young fan was apparently trying to tell her story on Instagram, but nobody was listening. It was then shared on Twitter, where the hashtag speaking out movement first took off. Another fan tweeted out to corroborate the story. I can personally testify to what Tay is saying, as I was there for a lot of this. What happened should have never occurred. This young fan noted in her alleged account that I told him I was only 13 and a really big fan trying to steer the conversation away. He told me to stop saving messages and that we could have a secret. He then allegedly blocked the young fan once she sent out the hashtag speaking out message. So that's the part is you don't have, so that's where, if it truly happened, that sucks. It's horrible. And he deserves to be fired. That being said, you can't fire a guy if you don't have actual proof, because you're just taking one word against another. And that's the unfortunate part of this. If she had physical proof, then that's one thing. And I would almost feel like, though, Snapchat would have some way, if there was a legal issue, to be able to pull something like that if it really happened. And so that's the part I can't help. I mean, yeah, you have someone to corroborate a story, but that's where you have someone, a good friend or family member, or I guess it was a friend, to corroborate a story. But again, in the court of law in any first world country, that's not going to hold up, necessarily in court as a substantial amount of evidence to indict him on those charges. You know what I mean?
Let me just throw this out there, okay? What teenager who is how can I put this? So I know social media. I know how it's used: Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, so on and so forth. In this situation, I think 99.9% of the times, that person getting those, let's say, D pics or inappropriate conversations, they're going to save it. They're going to save it. And the person won't even know that they're saving it.
Yeah, that's the part that I thought was weird is, because how is he going to know? He's like, well, he told me to save it, so I didn't save it. It's like that to me is a stretch. You know what I mean?
But yes, like I've had conversations with adult females, because I don't talk to kids. That's retarded. I hate using that terminology, but it is.
And not to mention, it goes back to, it didn't actually say he sent dick pics. It said he sent very gross things. So
well,
I mean, yeah, it alluded to it, but it still doesn't mean necessarily he was sending sexually charged things. You know what I mean?
Listen, dude, I've been there and done that. Okay, I've had lady friends send me things, and sometimes it automatically saves to your phone. You can have that setting. They won't know that you're saving it, or vice versa. It's really the fault of the person sending it. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. And that's something that's weird to me, because I'll be honest, I've had women send things to me.
Show me.
I've even had a couple guys send stuff to me, but
don't show me. Send that to Colin.
But right. I can say I have never ever taken a picture of myself and sent it to anyone. And I just don't understand only because I know women in general, they're not into guys sending them random, like guys are into it, of getting random pics of girls, but I'd say girls in general
not random
aren't looking to get, yes, exactly.
But man, we're going down a whole rabbit hole here.
Well, that's true.
But I some women do ask for certain things. And
yeah, but then if they're asking for it, then you have proof that they asked for it, though, and that's the difference too. It's solicited versus unsolicited.
Now with this situation, again, I really want to emphasize on the fact that a teenager who's going with this whole speaking out movement, and everything. Come on, you're telling me you don't have a screenshot, you don't have anything saved in your drop, like you didn't drop it to your iMac or whatever the hell you have there. You didn't do any of that. I don't know. I'm not going to say that he is innocent. Again, I wasn't there, but I can't say he was guilty. So now if I'm
there's no evidence, so you can't assume. That's where you're and it truly in the just court, you're innocent until proven guilty. And given the fact that we don't have enough substantial evidence, again, if he did it, it's horrible and he should be fired. But in this situation, you do not have enough evidence to prove that he did it. And there's enough, I feel like, holes in the story to make it in the court of law. I believe it's a reasonable doubt. There is not enough evidence to give a reasonable doubt that he did not do those things. 99% of the time, I would say almost 100% of the time, a person that has done this once
has done this multiple times. Probably not the first time if he did do this, he did it. So has there a history of him doing this with other people? Or is it just this one person who claimed that she told him that she was 13, right? With her buddy saying, yep, I was there. But you don't have any, it's too much. It's too much. I don't want to say, it could have happened. If it did, I'm really sorry. But if it did happen, maybe you should have, I don't know. You know what? Let me shut the hell up about this. But anyway, let's talk about
on. Yeah, Austin Theory. Yeah, we're not even done with the segment yet.
Jesus
After he beat Leon Ruff. I do like talking with you, though, right? This is why I love talking.
I have all the time. My whole morning is open for this because I knew we were going to go long. I am going to work out today, even though I feel like crap. So Stevie Richards Fitness. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, www.stevierichardfitness.com. A band knew you. It's been great to me, man. I got to tell you.
Absolutely.
But yes, I love talk. I have all the time in the world, brother. So we're just chilling. We're chilling.
Absolutely.
In the evening is a different story. So.
That's right. I was going to say, speaking of Austin Theory, though, he wasn't done. He cut a promo that we put over saying it was really good.
Excellent.
Saying there's nothing anymore, including Adam Cole, can do there's nothing anyone, including Adam Cole, can do about it. He'll put anyone in their place, but he gets interrupted by Dexter Lumis making his return to NXT. And he had a little bit more fight with them. They had about 12 minutes here, and ultimately Dexter Lumis went over, but his celebration was cut short by Cameron Grimes, who showed up and hit the cave in. And he tells Lumis to answer questions when he asks him.
Dexter Lumis, a.k.a. Sam Shaw. OVW boy, right?
Yep. I've worked him a few times.
OVW guy. So when he came up to Impact Wrestling as Sam Shaw, he was green as a banana hanging off a tree. But towards the end of his tenure at TNA, at the time, it was still TNA, he started developing this kind of psychopathic character, which fit him really well. The Dexter Lumis I saw on my TV screen today, man, I was like, wow, that guy. Now, hold on here. He is now Stone Cold Steve Austin, okay, was supposed to be that cold-blooded psychopath. He evolved into that beer drinking redneck. But Dexter Lumis could be, if booked correctly, by the way, 6'2", huge guy. He's my height, so he's a big guy. He's a big guy, built well. I love the chokes, the choke that he uses and everything. That it's perfect for his, like a psychopath. What do they choke people? They choke them. And
he's got the gloves too to go along with it, which
yes,
I also like.
I love it. He should carry them in his back pocket, and when he's about to put his finisher,
ooh, I like that.
He just puts he looks at the gloves. They can't see what I'm doing.
Well, I almost feel like though that's kind of like the Britt Baker thing a little bit, but I do like the idea of him coming out and making it a show of. I'd say before the match starts, he slowly puts on the gloves.
Yeah,
and then he's ready to wrestle. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, dude. But he has to, when he puts the gloves on, he's giving it with those crazy blue eyes, just staring at his hands. Like, oh my God, like almost like I have to do it, like I don't want to do this. I'm gonna end up killing this person. Like he's conflicted with himself. You have to get into my brain and see what I'm thinking. It's insane. If you saw what I was thinking half the time, you probably wouldn't be talking to me right now. But neither here nor there. But
I don't know why I kind of picture like he has the eyeball thing. Like if they had eyeballs on him, and he can even do what's the one movie like they did with the monster, put the eyes up with the hands.
Oh yes,
the eyeballs like that. Like if he were to do that,
dude.
like is like his pose. Like
yes,
then that's merch right there. Then you start selling that.
Oh, just the eye, the one eye like this.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Oh, with the triangle.
Well, I pictured an eyeball on the palm.
Oh, the hand.
And so when he puts the like this, but you're right, he could do the one. It's like three eyes looking at you.
Oh my God, that'll be creepy.
Pan's Labyrinth was what I was thinking of, where they had the monster thing that came up with the eyeballs in the hands. But anyway, yeah, there's a lot you can do with it. But I agree, he's definitely came a long way.
This guy could be a big star, and he doesn't have to talk much. The minute that they make him talk, I'm telling you, dude. Remember what he said. You worked him, right? Tell me about his promo skills. Be honest. I
mean, back in the day, I would say they weren't bad, but they were vanilla.
Right. But that vanilla delivery can work for his character if it's done right. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And dude, I see so much money, so much potential, and I'm rooting for this dude. These two guys, Austin Theory and Loomis, those two guys I see as potential Randy Orton, John Cena, like, you know, in OVW coming up to the WWE roster right now, where they are. I said to myself, these two guys are the future of the WWE. Loomis could be the next, hear me out, guys, the next big thing in the WWE if he's booked right, because this character is everything I love about professional wrestling. Seriously, man.
Yeah, it's well done. And when you can find your character and know how to, you know, from the time you walk out to the time you leave, to continue to stay in character, that's the mark of a true professional, and that's truly what's going to get you over. Same thing with Stone Cold. From the moment he walked out to the moment he left, he was always Stone Cold. He never dropped the character, never dropped the gimmick. Same thing with Dexter here. And so to that degree, I agree with you. I think he's got money written all over him, and I think it's just a matter of time before he really breaks out.
I hope so, man.
Let's see here. Next, we had Dakota and Raquel talking about the match. Nothing really I feel like there. They recapped the Finn Balor O'Reilly match from Takeover 31, where they both ended up in the hospital, and Finn Balor got 2 fractures in his jaw.
I'm sorry. I forgot to mention one thing. Cameron Grimes.
Oh yeah. And he had a backstage thing I skipped as well, saying he's going to the moon, and then he left.
So Cameron Grimes, one of Hardy's boys. He's from the Carolinas. He wrestled Impact. Yeah, he wrestled Impact Wrestling. I can't remember off the top of my head. We used to call him the Carolina Caveman or something like that. Me and Ben used to talk about him and say, this guy did some amazing things in the ring. He's one of the strongest guys pound for pound, period. I've been following this guy all the way back. I cannot remember what his name was in Impact Wrestling for some reason, but he was a X Division champion. He really had a lot of potential, and I was happy to see him here on TV. I forgot he was on, so it made me smile to see him. And has he been working a lot in ring recently?
I'd say fairly so. I mean, he's generally there, maybe not every week, but I'd say maybe every other week. So he's pretty relevant on the program, and his spot is, you know, he's pokes the proverbial bear, and you know he can get heat easily because he just is a loudmouth, and
yeah, he's a douchebag.
Right.
He wasn't that. Excuse me, hold on. I didn't hit the cough button. I apologize. He wasn't that in Impact Wrestling. He was like that crazy caveman type person. He used to do this. He would grab a bigger opponent into a German suplex, hold them midway up, and then drop them. Like, he would show feats of strength. He's great, man. I love him.
It looks like he was Trevor Lee before in Impact.
Yes, he was. Trevor Lee. yes, that was his gimmick.
Whatever that's worth. Yeah. So moving on from there, it looks like we had Damian Priest backstage. Now, this was an example of what I felt like, you know, he didn't have a lot of time, but he ended strong. It was just very quick. And it was, if anyone wants a shot at the title, they can get a reckoning, which is his finisher move. It was a good way to put over a catchphrase and just kind of right to the point and just punched it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much it.
I like Damian Priest. Some people like don't see it. I like the guy. I think he's all right, man.
I do too. I think he's got a lot of potential.
Yeah. I like the way he talks, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. He's got
talker.
Let's say that's why we got to get you that Impact spot first. Otherwise, they might pick up Damian Priest to do the voiceover for him. Well, next is the match that we're going to talk about. I know you were excited to talk about Danny Burch against Ridge Holland. Just a couple minutes long. Ridge Holland got the win, and then Holland disrespected Burch after the bell. So Danny got up and slapped him. Then they attacked. Out comes Oney Lorcan. Oney sent him packing, but then Holland came back in and took him down with the tackle. As Ridge is on the outside, Oney hits a tope onto him. Ridge is again quickly back up and fights back. They finally get split up as they another dive onto Ridge before it's broken up again. And it looks like when Oney landed on him, Ridge hurt his leg, and that was the end of that segment. All right, Ray, this is, I know, the part that you really were chomping at the bit to talk about. So to give you the first go around here.
Bro, you get this big guy coming out, this beast coming out, okay? He beats who did he wrestle? Who is this? He beats Holland, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, he beats Burch. Okay, yeah. we know Danny Burch is a tough guy. Okay, his tag team partner comes out. Got it. I get it. You know, Lorcan is a maniac. Lorcan put in the good fight. All of this should have happened inside the ring. There shouldn't have been any freaking suicidas cut off over the top rope. Maybe the first one. I get it. Then have the monster no-sell it, slam him in the ring, do whatever the hell you want to do. That second tope was unnecessary.
I do agree.
Over freaking booked. And what happened? They pushed it to the limit. Okay, he was supposed to catch him. That was the whole thing. He should have caught him in the first time then. But no.
And well, even then, catching someone is still like it's one of those things that it looks cool, but the momentum stopping, I can't tell you. And I've seen it more than one occasion where people either blow out their ACL or their quad tendon. Had a guy on OVW blew out both his quad tendons on trying to catch someone. And it's like that. It's one thing to do it in the ring. It's another thing when you add that extra bit of acceleration and momentum from outside the ring to the floor. To me, that's a value proposition that's never worth it. It's one thing to land on someone and absorb the impact. That's fine. That's relatively safe. But to catch, that's a huge risk. It really always is, even if it's a big guy and a little guy. And that's actually the guy I was talking about that blew out his quads. It was a guy that was twice the size catching a smaller guy, and then bam, he was out. In fact, that ended his career, the guy that I was talking about.
So now let's look at what happens here, okay? The whole purpose of this segment was to put over this monster, Holland, right? Guess what was the last thing? The last thing I remember about your monster was laying on a gurney, giving the thumbs up to the TV. So now he's a baby face. He's got to be a baby face now. You can't keep him. You can't keep him a heel. You still hear me there because you're frozen.
Sympathy.
Okay. All right. You froze there.
On, or if you're still on.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
We're back.
All right. So let me try this again. Dude, the last thing we saw was what? The thumbs up, sympathy, right? You said that. Dude, he's a baby face now. He can't be a heel. He can't.
Well, we don't know how long he's going to be out.
Hold on. Listen.
You're right.
Listen. He gave the thumbs up. Thanks, guys. Thank you for all your support. I appreciate you. No, you know what I would have did? I would have gave the finger. I would have gave a middle finger. Let them blur it out.
I like that.
Let them blur it out. No, but he gives the thumbs up.
That's smart. I like that. That's good. That's good, Ray. Hindsight is 20/20. You know what I mean? And he's still relatively young. I mean, I'm not excusing it. You had the correct option, but sometimes in the heat of the moment,
I get it.
You know what I mean? He just was thinking, all right, I'm out. And here's the thing: it can be saved if he's going to be out for a long time. People are going to forget about it, and then you just never show that clip ever again. You know what I mean? Other than you could show him getting injured, but. Not the thumbs up because that just gives you sympathy.
That was so.
Hopefully, it's not a long recovery though. But
whose
kind
fault
of ankle
is
or
it?
foot injury.
Whose fault is it? Whose fault? Why did this happen?
Well, it really comes down to whoever produced the segment.
That person.
I mean, really. I mean, everyone has a little bit of responsibility as a performer. You have to advocate for yourself sometimes and say, "Hey, I don't feel good doing this. I don't feel safe doing this."
Okay,
you know what I mean? And as a producer, you have to think, okay, is this going to get us more mileage? And it comes back to the question: is this going to get more heat or more over? The second dive wasn't going to get any more over than the first one,
right?
You know what I mean? And him bowing up, like that was the moment. That's the moment you want to sell is him bowing up. It didn't affect him. We're done here. You know what I mean? You go home. The second one was overkill, and it if anything made it worse because then you made it not as effective as what we just saw.
And then it makes your monster look weak.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And it killed the monster because they had a great moment, and then they killed it. Granted, it shouldn't have happened, but at the same time, because they were trying to overdo it, in which even if it was successful, wouldn't have made it any better. Now, because of that, though, they have a guy that's out of action for an indefinite amount of time.
So now, is that writer or are the writers in NXT smart enough?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if it was a writer or a producer because there's a writer say that, a lot of times the writer will write, say we want to brawl afterwards, make Ridge Holland look like a monster. Then it's up to the producer or the agent to say, okay, here's how we're going to do it. Now, that being said, a lot of producers or agents will give free reign to the talent. And so that's where it is hard to place blame because the talent could have came up with that spot and say, hey, what if we do it again? And the producer's like, okay, sure. Now, it's really on everybody, but I also can't take away the blame from the talent themselves either.
Is this a potential Eddie Edwards Sami Callihan situation. What am I talking about?
The baseball bat?
The baseball bat situation. That was no. Listen to what I'm saying.
Okay,
hear me out. So that was a big mistake. Yes. Man, I saw that on TV and I was like, oh, like I remember just grabbing my face, like, oh my God. But Sami Callihan got together with Eddie Edwards and they made business. And that made Eddie Edwards a hardcore character. And that took Sami Callihan's character to another level. So now this is what we can do. Oney Lorcan killed the monster. Like, I mean, when you jump off of something high onto somebody, okay, you're trying to take them out. He did the job. So now, do you take that situation? Do you take this maniac? And do you use the fact that he took out that monster? Do you break up this tag team and start building a character around Oney Lorcan? I know he's been there forever. I don't know if he's ever going to be hold on. I don't know if he's going to be a main roster guy, but can you do something with this? This is where your expertise comes into play here.
Well, what I would say is maybe not right away, because I feel like there was unfinished business with Ridge Holland and Undisputed Era after they took out Adam Cole. And so you also have to think, where does that business go? Do you just drop it, or do you try to merge this? So my guess was Ridge Holland was going to probably get a 2-on-1 match and then probably end up, having a longer match, but then end up still going through him anyway. And then Undisputed Era was then going to get themselves involved with Ridge Holland. However, with Ridge Holland potentially gone indefinitely, I feel like now you've created a situation where maybe you can utilize Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch as, being the guys that took out Ridge Holland, and now Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, who earlier in the show we saw more or less, put out the proverbial, not a bounty, but basically said, we're coming for you, Ridge Holland. And they've taken that away from Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch have taken that away from the Undisputed Era. So I feel like you could potentially work into a tag team angle there, which would help to elevate Burch and Lorcan working with the top faction in NXT right now, potentially. I don't know.
I think there has to be a promo where they tell the NXT tag team division that we're going to cut you down by, by your legs. What's that, the old saying? We're gonna God darn it, I have it in the tip of my tongue.
We're gonna cut the legs out from underneath you?
Yes. I think there has to be some type of promo. Like they say that to the entire NXT division. I would turn these guys. Are they heels? They look like heels.
Who, Burch and Lorcan?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know if one or other. They're strong competitors in the ring, so you could really put them in a situation either way. But you got my wheels turning now. I almost do like the idea of, he killed the monster that took out Adam Cole, but you could work that into an angle to say the next week he comes on and say, hey, Adam Cole, the guy that was the NXT champion longer than anybody, he got taken out by this guy, and I was able to take out the monster in my first time going against him. You know what I mean? And then that will rile up Adam Cole for that, and that's an easy feud right there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And have Adam Cole against Danny Burch as a good way to elevate Danny Burch if you're looking to single him out. Then obviously you would have Undisputed Era get involved, and then you'd have Oney Lorcan get involved, and they've kind of teased a dissension. Not necessarily dissension, but they've kind of teased that Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, of all people, are going more towards turning babyface versus Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong seem like they're going to maintain a heel. So you could end up using that as a catalyst, so you have Oney Lorcan, Danny Burch as the heels because they're mouthing off about, how they slaughtered the monster, blah, blah, blah. Adam Cole stands up for himself. And then the other members of Undisputed Era are trying to get him to back off. But then that's how you could lead into a split between them too, is using that as a catalyst. Potentially. There's different ways you could go with it, but I think definitely it's always better to acknowledge what actually happened than to say, okay, we're going to scrap everything and go somewhere completely different. They do need to go somewhat organic with what took place on television here.
I just see so much potential in this, because these two guys, they never did it for me, but now, like I said,
there's something.
They took out this monster. That's their thing. Maybe they develop a new finisher where it takes out the legs of their opponent. I don't know.
You're right. You have to start going after the ankles.
Yeah, it's just start like that should be their thing. They just start. Put it. You know what you do? Put them in the ring with a couple of enhancement talents for about a 2 or 3 week period, and every match ends with them breaking somebody's leg or hurting them where they can't stand. You know what I'm saying? Like that's their thing. Their leg. They're here to break it. What's the term? I told you. We're gonna take your legs out from under you.
Yeah. Take the legs out from underneath you.
Yeah, dude. And they run roughshod through the quote unquote tag team division by beating back to back weeks these enhancement talents, hurting them, ending their career. They'll put it over. Oh my God, this guy will never wrestle again. He'll never walk the same again. And these two guys come off as dangerous animals.
And then the next week, Zach Gowen comes out, and they're like, "Shit,
oh, Jesus Christ, Zach, that is
low hanging fruit. That wouldn't be bad though. If they're the leg breakers.
That would be funny though.
But no, I like that idea. And they take out people's legs, and they're either that you could go with them breaking legs, or they start double teaming big guys, and they're the monster killers. You know what I mean? Because then you establish them as that. Then eventually you could work them into the main roster, taking out the bigger guys on the roster there. So
and I would change their look, make them look less organic, and really I don't know, have them grow out a little more facial hair. I don't know what to do with them. Give them some leather jackets
or camo, make them or something.
Yeah, dude. Let these guys be like, because listen, people, they're from. Do you know where are they from exactly? They're from London, UK, whatever. Are they?
Let me see here. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So while he's looking up Pornhub, ladies and gentlemen, again, I just wanted you to go to. I tried finally some Russo brand coffee.
Really?
I told you last time I was on. And I ran out, and I got to order some more. Do you know off the top of, what is it, www.broasters.com, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Broasters.
The Broasters, yeah. I got to reorder some more. Dude, it's really good.
So it's interesting. It looks like Danny Burch is from London, England, but Oney Lorcan is from Boston, Mass. Interesting.
Is there a way we can book both? Well, Boston's a tough town, right?
Yeah.
Hey, England is tough. We got to figure something out. These two tough guys from across the pond. Man, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any ideas, what would you name these guys?
I don't know about a name necessarily, but I like them, targeting the legs, targeting the monsters. I see something along the lines of, they're hunters in a degree. And then you can also play up that. I mean, there's a great subculture for people that like to hunt and are into that. And that's where, merch and stuff, you could lead towards more, working into things with like Evertree and or Mossy Oak and things like that.
I see them as like backlot brawlers, like guys that just like going around looking to hurt people. Like I know people that are like that. You know what I'm saying? They grew up like liking to hurt people, like just buttholes, dude. Just I don't know, bullies, but you got two bullies beating up on one giant, taking them out. I don't know, man. It could work on so many different levels, dude.
Right. It's definitely be more than what they've been doing, which hasn't been, really as far as character goes, not much of anything. But either way, we're back at the Gargano house. Johnny set up the TV with a USB that was included, and the video showcases the Women's Battle Royal from, it says a few weeks ago, but I think it was I guess it was 2 weeks ago. It has a spotlight on Indi continually saving Candice from the elimination throughout the match as they both ponder whether or not, or I guess they both agree that they are starting to like Indi Hartwell. So it seems like they were endeared from the video, although I'd be a little creeped out if it was me, but I guess they liked it since it showed she was helping them. So that's interesting. We'll see where that goes. We kind of
who doesn't like a little help?
Right. Yeah. We all get a little help from our friends sometimes.
Absolutely.
We then go to Thatch Can time as Timothy Thatcher is torturing people, talking about how life grinds you down until you quit. I thought that was a great piece of business. And that's where, well, tell me what you thought about that. The Timothy Thatcher promo. Did you see that?
No.
Okay.
Did I miss it?
It was very short. It was just a little.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Yes, I did. I'm sorry. Yes, I did. Yes, Timothy Thatcher, the gentleman that looked like he will, like I've always said before, fight you in the alley.
Yeah.
He will fight you in the alley for a ham sandwich. Like this guy, dude, that guy should be part of the faction with Lorcan and
I can see that. I can see that.
There should be a faction of guys that look like they will bite your face.
You know what? If they had them in regularly, because I like Imperium's kind of been like the prim and proper badass. Like I feel like they could be the antithesis of Imperium. Like where Imperium's prim and proper with the jackets, they're rough and tumble, and you could have a good crew like that. You say Timothy Thatcher, Danny Burch, Oney Lorcan, maybe one more guy. It's a shame that Ridge Holland got hurt because he would actually fit in with them.
No, you put in a Killian Dain eventually as the bruiser.
Yeah,
you can make but what I'm saying is that when I saw
and then Drake Maverick wants to be, well, you all need a mascot, right? No, we don't.
No, we don't. And no, but I'm serious, but he would want to you can actually have some fun angles with that too. Him, with Drake Maverick trying to get tough and trying to be tough. And then
he tries to be tough, he tries to be in with them, but they keep kicking him out. And then Imperium sees it as an opportunity to say, hey mate, what do you think about having a nice jacket? And you know what I mean? And they try to recruit Drake. There's a lot of little games you can play with that.
Oh my God, dude. We need to get hired by NXT. But anyway,
I'm saying, man, book the doctor at gmail.com and I'll hook you up with Ray as well. Let's get on it.
But the moment I saw Tim Thatcher, I said, okay, I'm putting him with Lorcan. I'm putting him with this, what's his name? Gimmick Jones. And that's going to be the talker.
Yeah,
that's going to be the leader of that faction. I love it, man. It just made me think of what the Heart Dungeon must have been like, back in the day. It probably didn't smell great. It was probably the lights. The lights didn't work probably too good down there in the basement. I'm sure. I mean, it just took me back to another time, if that made any sense. Nobody knew anything about wiping down the mats. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, this was cool, man. This really took this little 30-second promo.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot, and it was so effective, and it shows in a small amount of time, and the words weren't even anything special, but he brought that emotion behind it. Yes. Like, he could do this every week, and it would just keep him over. Like, I even wrote here, I was like, you could have him lose for a long time, and he'd still be over if you showed that in between his matches. He always looks strong in his matches too, but that's where, like, even in putting guys over, little things like this, just showing 30-second clip of him kicking ass and talking, it keeps him strong.
I swear to God, no, I don't. God forgive me. I swear to Allah that that was a bad joke. If anybody, if in the next month or so you see this happening, the Stooges are out there, dude, because this is too good not to pass up. Wait, this is too good.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time, so I mean, it is what it is. If they use it, the only thing I get mad is when they use an idea halfway and it doesn't get the guy over. Like, that's where I get upset. It's like, well, if you would have had the guy that myself or in this case you or when Ben does it, Ben, like, we were actually in the writer's room, we could bring about more of that context of here's the idea and why this works, and not part of the idea, but we're going to go this direction, because then that's when it falls apart. That's the part where I get mad at, because people are going to steal stuff. If it's good, people are going to steal it. I've accepted it, but it's when you take an idea and utilize it halfway,
right,
and then it doesn't get over. Like, that's the part that I'm like, come on, man. Like, you could have had something special here, and yet you chose, instead of, paying a little bit of money to bring the actual writer on board, you tried to halfway do it, and then it blew up in your face. And now you've invested money and you've wasted money in investing in something that should have been a money investment to end up getting more money with, but instead you've thrown away money at something that failed, and you've wasted everybody's time. And that the fans, the wrestlers themselves, as well as the people actually writing,
All I'm saying is Thatcher, Burch, and Lorcan going out to hurt people permanently.
Be good.
Man, I'm telling you, and I agree with you, man. You know how many ideas I had stolen from me in the past, and I get no credit for it, or it does frustrate me. Like, I'll help somebody build something, and then I get like, not. It is what it is. I take more joy in helping, helping develop, but I see where it could be frustrating, where you have a great idea, they take it, right, and then it's like the 50% of. Or the watered down version of what it could be. But I'm telling you, these three guys, you don't know what to do with them. You don't have anything for them, like on a regular basis. This could be a dangerous, just like, I'm going to bite your cheek And oh man, I could see these guys. I could actually see Thatcher grabbing you by your face and biting your face off. That's fantastic. That's what the wrestler should be. Anyway.
Yeah. Just drag out, beat down, vicious son of a bitch. Speaking of vicious, we had a vicious little match coming up here before the main event. We had Shotzi Blackheart against Xia Li. I forget how to pronounce that. But either way, it wasn't a very long match, about less than 2 minutes, as Shotzi Blackheart wins in short order. After the loss, Boa shows up in a suit and hands a piece of paper to Xia Li, or Xia Li. I can never pronounce it right. She reads it and then leaves with him. What do you think about this business, Ray?
First, I was like, who is that? Xia Li. I was like, wow, that looks like somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know who she is, but she looks like somebody, even without the whole Mortal Kombat karate martial arts gimmick. She looks like she can be somebody.
Right.
Then you got Shotzi Blackheart coming out looking like a crazy lady, which she also looks like somebody. I guess WWE is really pushing Shotzi Black. I could tell they're pushing Shotzi Blackheart without having to know what's going on. Right. I've already seen her, I think, on promos howling like a wolf for Halloween Havoc.
Right.
Which but Xia Li, man, what do you think of her? Because I really, number one, she's the first thing. That woman is in shape. That woman, I love her entrance. I love her presence. She's a beautiful woman, and from the very short bit I saw, she looks like she can go. But I need to hear what you think of her.
So I'll be honest on the NXT product, and this is where they literally don't have enough time on the show to showcase everyone. She really has only been used in a utility role. She really hasn't been in a featured angle since I've started watching. And so really the only thing I feel I can legitimately say about her is that she's solid and has a good look. That being said, I would be definitely interested to see more from her, to see, a promo or a story, and it looks like we're going to get one with the mysterious letter she got afterwards.
Right.
So that was confusing, but at the same time it was intriguing, and that's the difference between confusion and intrigue. So she got some kind of important letter from what I assume is a either someone that she knows or has some relation to her business wise, and I think the announcers put over who he was, but I didn't know who he was. But either way, it's intriguing to think what could be coming next and what was in that envelope. So I assume we'll find out hopefully next week, or at least get a clue as to it.
Like, seriously, can you see that?
She's in shape. Yeah.
She's in shape. No, that was the Chinese government. They are absolutely furious with her.
Oh, really?
She can't lose anymore. That's what it is. So now, is she going to have that? Is that guy going to be her manager? Is he going to come out to ensure that she doesn't lose any matches and lose his face for her country?
I would love that. I think that's above their pay grade as far as, well, not necessarily above their pay grade, but they tend to not like to challenge, the political spectrum, as far as they don't like to necessarily acknowledge politically what's going on in general. The WWE. I mean, you got to think, even the coronavirus, look how long it took for them to have people with masks in the audience. They try to just completely ignore it versus, I think you have to acknowledge what's really going on. So I like the idea, and I think that would be the smart way to go with it. And I think that would probably be the best way to go with it, because China's, overreach of politics into the lives of their citizens is a huge problem, and it's very relevant today. And I think bringing that up in angle is awesome, but they're not about to risk losing out on some of that China money to push those buttons. I don't think. I think they see that as a potential territory where they can make some money eventually, and I think they've been working on deals with getting more distribution or working with China. So unfortunately, I don't foresee that happening, as much as I think it is a great idea.
Or maybe she can be an over character. Maybe her uncle owns a business and she's disgracing the family. I don't know, dude. I don't know, but maybe she comes back looking different. Maybe she comes back dressed like the guy that delivered her the message. Yeah, like a nice fitted woman's suit. I don't know, man. I have so many ideas.
Or maybe she has to go, like, it's kind of like a Kill Bill situation where she has to go to some kind of like a Mr. Miyagi type character and find her way and become stronger. And that might be a good way to introduce someone else, into the scheme of things. So who knows? There's a couple different ways to go with this. In the chat room, we have Athers who says, confessions time. He thinks he's in love with Shotzi Blackheart. I don't know if it's the hair, the tattoos, the attitude. She just really tickles my pickle.
Really?
That's what Adler said.
She doesn't do it for me.
I can see the appeal. I'd say it's. I'm weird. I usually don't. I try to refrain from like discussing what I think physically about women. But I've always had a weird thing with tattoos. I'm just not into tattoos or piercings, really, for that matter.
I'm not a piercings guy.
And that's just. I don't know. I've always had a weird thing. If a girl has a bunch of piercings or tattoos, it's automatically. I think it's a great look, but I just personally don't find that to be an attract. But I can also see the appeal, and I know some guys that are just really into the tats and the hair, and I can see where she presents herself. She's a star. She is a unique enigma in and of herself, and there's really no one else I can think of that looks like Shotzi Blackheart. She's kind of unique, so I think that's telling still too. To see she just has that special something that, well, for our friend Adler's here, just does it. But I think that also is part of just her superstar appeal as well.
When I think of Shotzi, when I saw Shotzi, what came into my mind? Old school Glow wrestling. She looked like a crazy Glow wrestler character. Super over the top, gorgeous, and again in shape. I'm not into the tattoos and piercings either, but I could see how people would find her to be very, very attractive and really appealing. Speaking of Glow, did you know that Glow season 4 has been canceled?
I saw that. Yeah, apparently they're gonna end it, but then try to, once the virus is over, wrap it all up into a movie. It's a shame.
It is a damn shame, dude. You know how much time I've invested? See, this is the one thing about Netflix I hate. I'm gonna cut a promo on Netflix. Netflix, what the hell? Do you know how many shows I really got invested in? I'm like 3 seasons in, and then boom, it just disappears. No ending. It's like getting
well, at least on this one, it sounds like they're going to have a chance to wrap up the stories at least. So that's the one thing I was saying in the locker room. I was like, at least it's not something where it's taken away and there's no contingency plan to wrap up the stories they were telling. So at the very least, I am glad for that, because you're right. You're investing your time and you want to see how these stories unfold and conclude. And there's nothing worse than when they just abruptly end it and then that's it. But at least they did say they are going to wrap it all up into a bow in a final movie. So
I mean, I saw almost every episode of the Santa Clarita Diet, and then boom, gone.
Yeah.
Done.
And that's an example of one where, people that committed their hard-earned time into watching the product, they're not getting the.
I'm upset, Ted. I'm upset. Can you finish this off, please?
Well, hopefully the main event made you feel a little bit better. It was Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez against Ember Moon and Rhea Ripley. Well, sounds like you already have an opinion. What were your thoughts on this, Ray?
It's just the poops.
Poops?
Yeah, it was not good. I didn't enjoy this main event. So I'm going to look for the positive here. Okay. Gonzalez I already know what I'm going to get out of Rhea Ripley. Okay. So I'm like, all right, let me see what this Gonzalez girl has. And I think she's good. She's good. A woman that size, who moves that well, she bumps pretty well, I think. You're going to have to give me your professional opinion on that. I think she sells well. Again, looks good. Ember Moon was just distracted me the entire time with her poor physical appearance, her not so spot on timing, which I guess I understand. She hasn't been in the ring for so long. Gonzalez came out to be the star of this match for me.
Yeah.
And Moon was just there. Seriously. And then at the end, you got Rhea Ripley, what a WWE superstar should look like, you know what I'm saying? Standing next to old Grimace. And it really bothered me, dude. It really bothered. I really got annoyed at the fact, and I hate to say this, but again, you've been off TV for 14 freaking months. You don't develop your character. You put on a stupid leather jacket, you cut your hair terribly, and then you cut a bad promo. Nobody cares. It's like, and you know why nobody cares? Because I don't think she cares. Yeah. I really felt that. I really feel like she didn't care. I don't know if Rhea Ripley got injured, she'd come back looking like that.
Right.
Or not better than what she was. There's certain people, it's like, I'm gonna use myself as an example. I had diverticulitis. I had an infected colon. My colon was infected. I had what's the gimmick that you pee from? God darn it.
Catheter?
Not the catheter, the actual gimmick in your stomach that holds the urine.
Like your bladder?
Yes, I had an infected bladder. I had a hernia. Okay, I worked through the pandemic with all that pain. Okay, my doctors told me not to start lifting weights, not to start pushing myself too hard until November. Guess what? I listened to my body. I pushed a little harder. I worked a little. I am in better shape now than I was before I got sick.
Yeah, you look great.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So you can tell in a short amount of time, you've already drastically changed your look, and you're not on national television.
I'm not on national television, but the thing is that you have to care. You have to care about yourself. And if you don't care about yourself, guess what? We're not going to care. And I'll tell you something straight up, dude. I don't think Ember Moon ever gets out of NXT TV. I think this is her last run. They're going to try to put her over. But this is it, dude. I'm serious. And I'm sorry. I don't wish her to lose her job. But if you're not going to put the effort in, you got over a year, dude. I lost 50 pounds in, I think, 3 months, gained muscle. My blood pressure's down. I had stomach surgery in multiple places. What's your excuse? Seriously, I worked through the pandemic. What's your excuse? You can stay home and eat clean. At least do that. Does that affect your legs, Doc? Does, like, if you have an ankle injury, does that affect your jaw on how you eat?
Well, if you don't eat any citrus for a long time, you can get scurvy.
Oh, Jesus Christmas! You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I do know what you're saying.
But it really frustrated me. This match was not good because they were trying to highlight a bad Ember Moon.
It looked like she shouldn't have been cleared to go yet. Because here's the thing, and it's where some physical therapists do it, some don't. So I'm not going to comment on what her therapist did. But anytime I cleared someone to return to high level sport, they had to meet a barrage of different tests, especially on these lower leg ones, like being able to hop at a certain speed, at a certain tempo, and being able to react accordingly. And because that reaction time and your ability to just move and change direction is really telling on whether or not you're going to have another injury again and re-injure yourself. It looked to me like her reaction time in the ring just was a step behind from what I remember she was before. And that's not a good sign. Like, that's a sign that you're not quite ready to be, like, physically she's probably cleared to lift and do whatever. But as far as being able to go in the ring, like that's another standard. And I felt like, again, maybe I'm wrong. I felt like probably it seems to me that she was not cleared to that level. You know what I mean? Like, she was cleared in the general sense, but not cleared in that higher level sense. Because there are extra tests and measures you can do that it's kind of above and beyond what we typically do in the clinic. But when you have athletes, it behooves you and them to sit down and make sure you can meet every dynamic that you were able to do prior to surgery and then some. Like, your affected limb should be no less than 95% of the good limb. You're probably going to have a little of a deficit afterwards, no matter what, whether it's range of motion or something. But the fact that I noticeably saw her look a little more sluggish and slow in that ring compared to what I remember her being, part of me thinks it's less on, I mean, granted, being in shape is one thing, but I can't help but feel like it was that Achilles, because having a bad wheel is going to slow you down tremendously. And the worst part of it, like I said, was her continuing to hit that total eclipse move at the end that I can't help but feel probably caused the injury in the first place. It's like she learned nothing. And it's sad, because if you would have taken the opportunity to reinvent your character, change up your moveset to where you're safer, then not only was this an opportunity to revitalize your career and get more over than you previously have ever been, but to make sure you can continue to have a career long and healthy and not get hurt anymore. And I didn't see any of that. I saw her. I don't think it's that she doesn't care. I don't think she knows who she is, but she hasn't done her due diligence to figure that out.
Doc,
you know what I mean?
she put over. She said it. I found out who I am. That was her promo.
But
no.
Didn't show it.
But that's the thing. That's the problem.
Show don't tell.
You took the words out of your law. You took the words out of Ben's mouth.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's true, though.
Seriously, dude. She said it. I found out who I am. And I know it's like corny and all. That's what she said.
Yeah.
I swear to you. She found out who she was. She puts over her gimmick, and then she calls it corny. Disgusting. Disgusting to me.
Instead, make it be important. And before I say this phrase, I want you at home to grab a sheet of paper. If you're backstage, you grab one too. I want you to write this down because it's something you're going to be hearing a lot, and it's something it's going to be ingrained in your brains forever. It's called Ember's Law. You know what Ember's Law is? I'll tell you exactly. You know what I mean? Like, make it seem important. I'm going to tell you what this is, and it's really corny, but okay, well, you just killed whatever you're going to say next is not getting over.
What is Ember's Law? Do you know what it is?
Let me read. It was on the.
No. I don't want you to read.
Do I know?
That's the point.
Right.
That's the
I don't
point.
remember. Right.
No,
it didn't stick with me.
Nothing's memorable. Now, if I say Austin 316 means what?
Don't trust anybody.
I just whipped your ass.
Oh yeah, I just whipped your ass.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass, right?
Yeah.
Or how about what you're gonna do, brother, when
the 24-inch pythons run wild on you?
Right, when Hulkamania runs wild on you, brother. Dude, if you smell
what the Rock is cooking.
Okay. Yeah. See that? What's Ember's Law? I don't know. Sounds like a really bad 80s TV sitcom. I don't know. What's Ember's Law? Who knows? Who knows? Because you know why nobody knows? Because you made us not care.
Yeah.
By telling us it sounds corny. And you know what comes off across corny? She did. She was corny. She was corny the whole show. She angered me, dude. And I don't, like you said, yeah, I get it. I get it. I don't want to be too hard. You know what? No, screw this. I'm going to be hard. I'm getting tired of tuning into wrestling, okay? And like you said, man, I know sometimes you have to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, blah, 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 blah. But man, there's a certain way you can do things. We already said how she could have put that she could have said the same thing in a totally different way. Just like what's her name? Gimmick Joanna that was cutting the promo earlier. It's about inflection. It's about passion. It's about looking into the camera. It's about connecting with the audience. You don't have a live audience there. So you got to look into the camera right in front of you, and they got to see that you want it. They got to see that you're hungry. They have to see that you're coming to that or headed for that next level, brother. See, as bad as an in-ring performer Hulk Hogan was, or people think he was, Hulkamania looked into that camera and he told you about the 24-inch pythons, brother. He told you about lifting 5,000-pound giants over his head. That's a Silver Dome, dude. Right? And you believed it. You believed that Hulk Hogan needed you to cheer to give him that power.
Yeah.
But no, you sit down.
It was so easy, too, to take it a step further. And then you'd see him sell. What would he do? He'd reach that hand out.
Yes.
To the real screen or to the crowd, reaching out for the people. And then when finally he hulked up, he shook off all the pain. And, you felt that.
Yeah, man.
It's so simple.
Yeah, man. But no, you sit in the corner with Colin eating bacon-wrapped Oreo cookies. I think we're done. There.
Not a sponsor, but feel free to email us, HummingMediaGroup@gmail.com. Oreos, Nabisco, if you're listening.
Are those keto? No, right?
I don't believe so. Well, we always assign a homework assignment, Ray. Okay. And so I think it makes sense. Let's talk about Ember Moon. Let's see if we can get some of the listeners to come up with some better ideas. Who is Ember Moon? I want the homework for this week. Give me some character ideas. How can we revitalize Ember Moon? It's obvious coming out from the start that there's some to be desired here. So what can Ember Moon do to make her character more relatable? What can she do to better herself as a character? That's what I want to know. This week's homework assignment. It's a tall order, but I'd be curious. Ember Moon, how can you get her over? How can you make her feel important to the audience? Obviously, this week she didn't think so herself because it was corny, as she said in her own words. But what can she do now? I mean, you can't take it back, but what can you do to at least do better from this point out? Because we're still going to see her on television. So let's at least try to do something that is going to be more productive than what we saw this week.
That should be the title of this week's episode. Was NXT corny? Ask Ember.
Ember Moon. What was corny this week?
Oh, jeez. Anyway.
So you can send that in to nextlevelwrestlingreview@gmail.com. Looking forward to hear what you have to say in regards to what we can do to be more productive with Ember Moon here. How can we make her better? And Ray, I got to tell you, I hopefully didn't make you too jaded on the product, but you're welcome. No. You're welcome anytime, my friend. It was great having you this week. Go ahead.
No, I told Colin that I would love to come on a more regular basis. I can't commit because my schedule is all over the place. But like anytime you're free, then come on. Just send me a message and you're welcome. Absolutely, love to have you. Because two things. Number one, I love you and Colin. I really do. I love listening to you guys. And I still have a passion for wrestling. Of course, I'm doing what I'm doing on my personal channel, but I really still love wrestling. I will always love wrestling. I can criticize, I can talk bad about it, but sometimes the things you love the most, you're overcritical because you love them so much.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So you need to understand that we're not just, some people say, oh, they're just crying about them. No, we're not crying about. But
you're being constructive, and I think that's the difference too. You're not just saying this sucks. You're saying, hey, this sucks, but this is why it sucks, and this is why if they were to do this XYZ, it would be better. And these men and women, these athletes, can get more out of their bodies, more out of their time, and the fans at home can get better television. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
When I first saw Ember Moon, I said, man, that's different. That finisher is cool, but it's gonna hurt. That's the first thing I said. Landing on your butt. Look at what happened to Hulk Hogan, just dropping a leg for all those years.
Right.
He's like 3 inches shorter now.
And that wasn't from the top rope.
No, that was just a regular leg drop. Like I said, anyone can get hurt. It's professional wrestling. But anyway, man, I'd definitely love to come on. And the second thing is because, so I said, the first thing is because I love you and Colin. The second thing is because I love wrestling. And I always will.
Love it.
I always will. So I would love to come on here on a semi-regular basis as much as I can. And I love talking with you. I feel we have our group mind, so to speak, I think is strong. Like we play off each other well. So that's why we're more than welcome anytime, man. I like how you think, and I like when we get to deep dive into things. And I think we're good because we can challenge each other in a way that is constructive, and it actually, create some good conversation and helps us break down further the things that we're talking about. So, and listen, between you and me, nobody else is listening, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's just us,
dude. Listen, get rid of Colin. I mean, he's just he's gained like 50 pounds. Have you seen this guy's face?
Oh, really?
Oh my God! You ever heard? Sandy Cheeks from SpongeBob?
Yeah. Wow.
Put them side by side. Take a look at them.
So you're saying he needs to get on that Stevie Richards Fitness at StevieRichardsFitness.com.
He's got to get off of the RBV Fitness and get back on to Stevie Richards Fitness. I'm just saying.
Well, someone's got to tell him,
I'm not going to tell him, bro. Every time I call him, he's putting something in his mouth.
Oh, jeez.
Whoa. You know what? That came off. Anyway, so yeah, man.
Anyway. Right before we go, though, do you have anything? Well, I'm sure you do. Go ahead and plug the other things that you've been working on, and how people can find you.
Oh yeah, man. So, I'm finishing up a really cool series at Your Life, My Life. You can find it anywhere. Just type Your Life, My Life podcast. You can put in Your Life, My Life Christian podcast, but it's not just a Christian podcast. Like I said, I'm going to be going into some real deep stuff when it comes to myself and things that have happened in my family and things that I know that other people are dealing with during these times. And I'm going to talk about drug addiction, not me on a personal level, but living with a drug addict for almost 40 years and how that's affected our lives. And, it's going to be really deep stuff. But before that, I have a 4-part series that I'm about to finish off. I can't record this week because, again, as much as I may sound like myself, it has been a struggle to talk.
They had upper respiratory infection.
I did. I'm on day 6 of antibiotics now, so I'm over the hump. I'm feeling better, no fever or anything like that. I thought I had the COVID, like I said before, but thank God I did not. And if this is bad and COVID is worse, oh geez, I was in bad. But again, guys, check it out. We have these 2 amazing people that are doing amazing work in Africa, and they're living in Africa, and what it's like to live in the United States and then just go and minister to people in Africa who have absolutely nothing. Like churches were built with cardboard and wood, like wood and cardboard, and the nails they used to make nails out of the soda bottle tops from the old Coca-Cola bottles. It's an amazing story. So check it out. Part 4 and the final part of that will be available next week. I believe Pastor Travis Volts, he's going to have some cool stuff on this week as well. I'm going to try to record something if I can for Sunday, but if I can't, hopefully I can go to church Sunday. That'll be cool. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward, man, to
where can they find it?
Oh, again. Yes, so it's available everywhere.
Okay. That's right. You guys search
Your Life, My Life.
Your Life, My Life podcast
or Christian podcast. You see my stupid face, with the beautiful cross behind it. And I'd appreciate it, man, if you guys send some emails to Your Life, My Life 777@gmail.com. And these emails are for basically anyone who just needs to talk. If you want to make it public, if you want people to kind of like help answer certain questions in life or whatever, dude,
right.
just
I'm sure if you're going over a certain topic, it'd be good to, maybe if someone else has a story where they can provide context of, some kind of, motivational or inspiring story of, something similar that you're talking about on the show. So absolutely. So I think you're doing some great work over there. I think it's very important work. And I look forward to seeing you continue to grow with that and all the good stuff that you're doing, man. But as always, it's my pleasure to always sit down with you. You're welcome here anytime, Ray. And again, in the meantime, for those of you that want to participate in the homework, let us know what we can do with Ember Moon. Send that in the Next Level Wrestling Review at gmail.com. We'll be back again next week. Colin, I expect to be back, but who knows? We've talked, his ego's gotten out of control, so we'll see. But either way, we'll be here next week breaking down everything in NXT. In the meantime, thank you all for joining us. Have a great weekend, and we will catch you next week on the Next Level Wrestling Review.
Brother.
I think we're still